We are live.
Welcome to the True Sky Crew podcast, where we share our cosmic pearls of wisdom. Why True Sky Astrology? Because when we align with the true sky, we align with our true self. We are your hosts, Georgia, Sachi, and Janine. Thank you all for joining us live or on the replay. Tonight, we are discussing November transits. Hi, everyone. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Surfing that eclipse vibe.
Yeah.
It was a spicy nugget.
The deep, deep stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would think it was like a Cetus Aries solar eclipse. It was a Virgo solar eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So it
We're
was
heading
intense.
into that.
Yeah.
Cetus Aries energy.
The lunar eclipse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really feeling that, like feeling the Pisces, the Cetus, and the Aries in this eclipse for sure.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
It's a Virgo solar eclipse. Echoes.
Yeah, sorry, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah, it logged into the YouTube and all right. You should be good to go now.
Awesome.
Shall I pop up the sky?
Let's do it.
Yeah, what do we want to start with? We're gonna kind of omit comments and questions from the crew for these because these transit episodes are so lengthy.
Yes, they are.
So for the sake of time, we're gonna wait to do feedback on the next episode. So yeah, if anybody's in the chat, there might I don't know if anybody's in there yet, but if anybody has any things they want to share about the eclipse, because technically we are still in the eclipse portal. The lunar eclipse is coming up on Saturday, the 28th.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
how y'all feeling about that?
Whew. There's definitely a lot of like death and rebirth / evolution energy because it's right in that area where it even though it's technically in the void space between Aries and Cetus, I calculated and it looks perfectly equidistant between like a major star of Pisces, Aries, and Cetus. So it's like it's literally right in that hub that we talked about in our Aries and Cetus episode. So it's
in the deep woo land.
It
for
is.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be good. North Node lunar eclipse. I really feel like there's a lot of lunar matrix bridging that can happen through that. Like literally with the North Nodes, like you're just poking a hole through that lunar matrix and off you go out into the ethers.
Exactly. Especially once like Saturn goes direct and sort of like seeing through Saturn moon matrix issues.
Yes.
It's going to be, there's a lot of pretty intense work going on. A lot of stuff with like past lives, but for personally, I've been noticing a lot of reconciliations with past lives that I've had during this lifetime, like old versions of myself that I would consider even a complete past life because I don't know who she is anymore.
Oh, that's funny because of that Gemini-ness where it's like just constant reinvention.
Like yeah, exactly.
Closing out those.
Yeah, Sun conjunct Pluto too. It's just like boom, boom, boom. Like, yeah, it's been pretty intense.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the aspects for this lunar eclipse. There is a weak sextile to Saturn retrograde, so there is Saturn moon matrix reconciliation work. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like the return of a lot of our quanta in a really strong way. Like I feel that feeling of reconciling my inner teenager, like reconciling those parts that you're talking about, Sachi, our old selves in this life, but also in past lives. I kind of feel like the whole party of myself is showing up in a quiet but really integrated way.
Yeah.
And I think that's partly why this has been like a quiet eclipse for me, even though it's been extremely deep. And I actually really appreciate the Virgo quality of just integrating in an earthy kind of way in the day-to-day tasks, because we really do see in this time of year, especially, how it's those little everyday tasks that truly create like the divine template of our divinity.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't
Mhm.
chill for me at all. It was freaking rattling some cages in there. I'm hoping the lunar eclipse will be a little more chill, even though that sounds like a weird thing. Like, you don't usually think of a lunar eclipse as being like, hey, this is just gravy, but maybe.
It
We'll
could
see.
be.
It feels a little more
Could be.
chill because it's not it's partial, and
Yeah,
and
that's
that
true.
there's something that feels slightly like it's a little bit less intense than like that ring of fire we just experienced.
Yeah, it was very intense over my way. But it feels like purging stuff. You know, it's South Node, so it was literally like get in there and clean the closet out. Anything in the South Node that's holding you back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was very noisy and loud. It was not Virgo walking
Virgo
softly,
for
doing daily things. No, it was not.
me it was, and it was right on my IC, so it was
Oh,
definitely
interesting.
really cleaning up that psychic basement. But for me,
Yeah.
it was like sometimes when that happens, it can be like it can be like almost like a horrifying experience. And this time it was just like looking in the mirror at the parts that I really don't want to have to really don't want to face, and just facing them and just
That's
being
lovely. That's such a
quiet about it.
mature, yeah, coming from a really
Mhm.
mature place. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great. Mine was pretty much conjunct Uranus, very close to Uranus. So it was just erratic and cuckoo bird and
Yeah.
let's throw you a curveball.
Yeah.
But I was out in nature. So that was the Virgo aspect too. I was like camping. I was just like, I'm getting away from everything. I'm going, out into the woods. So
Mhm.
that was grounding for sure. In the chats, we have ANC3S and a bunch of numbers and letters, major breakthroughs and
Ancestors.
rebirths. Yay.
Mhm.
Feeling more of a lucid state. Yeah. That's awesome when you're kind of like in that waking lucid state. I love that feeling.
Me too.
Mhm. Me
The
too.
best feeling. Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
All right. Should we start with the sun?
Yeah.
You
Well,
ready
do we
to
want to
dive
start
in?
with a retrograde recap just really quickly?
Mhm.
So we
Okay.
can,
Oh, yep.
because we have one planet changing direction in November, leaving the retrograde party. They are partied out.
Uh-huh. Sounds like Saturn.
So it sounds like Saturn. Wah, wah.
Yeah,
Party,
Saturn's
I'm
like,
out.
Party's
out.
over, everybody.
Saturn's like,
That's
I'm
okay.
doing the Scottish goodbye. I'm just slipping out right now.
For sure. So at the beginning of November, we have 5 major celestial bodies in retrograde: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and asteroid Chiron. Saturn will be going direct this month, very early. Will station direct on November 3rd and go direct on November 5th. And that's the only planet that's changing direction this month. So the rest of the crew will party on.
Mhm.
But it does feel significant that Saturn is shifting, and especially just days after, within a week, I guess, after the lunar eclipse, and then the Samhain ancestors portal, and then
Oh yeah.
Saturn shifting directions. This definitely feels like such significant timing, as it always is.
I totally agree.
Actually feels like a really good thing. I feel like this time that Saturn has been retrograde, we've seen kind of almost like the spiritual shenanigans that can really happen even like across the spiritual community. I've seen all sorts of people who I deeply respect say some things that I just feel like that is some cuckoo bird stuff. And just realizing, really seeing like this is Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, and we're going to all have to work out where we're not holding the true light. And I feel like Saturn coming back into its direct motion is going to kind of allow us to start to have more clarity and more of a crystallization when it comes to who's in our community, who are we working this out with, who are we moving forward with, because Saturn in Aquarius is very, very much a communal Saturn.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we talked a lot about Saturn retrograde and how a lot of government stuff comes up as well. And we see
Yes.
that in the spiritual community, it's really heightened a lot of people's emotions, what certain governments are doing, and how, people are basically pitting themselves against each other based on, whatever government they want to uphold or support or whatever it may be. But yeah, I've also seen some things that, it's like that's not part of this conversation necessarily. It is part of a deeper conversation, but it's like, it's interesting to see people who can't go one level deeper to see it for what it is, and especially how it's trying to get people out of alignment during eclipse season specifically.
Yes.
The timing was very specific. The timing of the world events, which I agree, it's not, I don't know if this is, it's such a big conversation outside of just talking about transits, but it is, an important one to at least touch on, because very much eclipses are about shifting timelines. And so what better way to shift a timeline than to pull the global attention into timelines that are being attempted to being created. So then we understand, exactly. So then we understand that it's in holding a space of crystal clarity within ourselves and really being in the still point of our beings that we can masterfully navigate and continue creating timelines that are organic and loving and healthy.
Exactly. And that's really the key to it, is focusing on creating your own timeline and making sure that you're anchoring your own utopian timeline, heaven, all those Virgo codes that we talked about in our last transit episode, because in the collective, what they're trying to do is destroy. And so anytime that there are all of these, destruction, warmongering stuff, that's when it's essential to be creating a life of your choosing rather than feeding your creative energy towards notions of destruction.
Yeah, we almost create an ancillary inroad for those higher vibe energies that are coming through that can, feed into the earth core, to the earth grids, to the organic timelines, because they do some things, they do shenanigans over in one area, which the area like the Israel, Palestine, Gaza whole area is like a 2D Stargate. So it's like Earth's sacral chakra, one of her sacral chakra spots. So it's really a war on the feminine, or afflicting the feminine energy. And the more you can hold your own vibe, hold your own space, have your own experience, you're creating alternate routes for that energy to come in if the Stargate is clogged, basically, with trauma. So it's very, very important to stay in your own lane and just mind your own energy. Make sure you're not feeding, you're not feeding into the energy or the fear or the anger or, whatever that they're trying to rabble rouse up. That's really important. And it's just when you start seeing the timing of some of the global events, you just shake your head and you're like, dude, really? It's so obvious.
It's really obvious that they're using astrology and true sky astrology at that. So, we're anchoring how to remain human while not allowing our humanity to be weaponized against us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Stay in your own lane, work your own magic, do your thing, clear your templates, talk to your ancestors. It's really, really important. Not just for eclipses, but all the time, but especially for eclipses.
And especially eclipses that are near the ancestor portal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a big portal. I think there's 3 2D gates, I think there's 2 star gates and 1 inner earth gate. So yeah, it's interesting how that location on the planet has just had constant war for so long. And you start understanding the reasons why, and it all makes sense, and you just do your own thing. You're like, okay, well, if I heal myself, I can heal a fractal of that, and that's good enough, right? It's more than enough.
Yep. You can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, we're living in a holographic reality. So as within, so without. So truly on a collective level, we need to look at the parts of ourselves we're not accepting. Look at the parts of ourselves that we're at war with and within. Look at the parts of ourselves that we'd rather not see, and start to really do the reconciliation work with our own beings. Because especially when we're far away, this isn't happening here at this time. So we have, in a sense, it's our cosmic duty to do the inner work. That's the best way that we can help.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Absolutely.
And November is the perfect time for it, with all of the Libra and Scorpius codes. It's really a time to find your balance, and when you figure out what isn't in balance, you do your shadow work. You figure out how you're self-sabotaging.
It's kind of an interesting integration space between October eclipse, like the eclipse season, and winter solstice, winter or summer solstice, whichever hemisphere you're in. So it's kind of like this pause, integrate, let some more stuff come up. You go through the solstice, and then keep on trucking.
Excuse me.
So let's just jump right on in then. Let's jump into November. My favorite month of the year. I don't know about you guys.
Me too.
We have a couple November birthday babies over here.
Yes, we do.
Happy birthday, y'all. Happy solar returns coming up.
Thank you. Yeah, it's birthday month.
Mm-hmm.
I just go into full
yeah.
birthday month mode.
Mm-hmm. Likewise.
I have my whole birthday season, so I'm with
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So let's talk about what the sun's doing.
So Janine, so for our listeners, we have a list amongst ourselves of things that we look at. And I would say that my relationship with this part of the sky, this like going into Libra and Scorpio, is a little bit more zoomed out. And I think that like you, as a person who has so much of your astrology happening here, and also you, Sachi, probably have a lot more to say about this area of the sky.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just kind of going through each of these transit episodes, like the first series of transit episodes, I'm calibrating each end star of one constellation, beginning star of the next constellation to calculate the voids. So in some way, there's a whole new process for me going through this too, instead of looking at the true sidereal software. So it is a little bit of trial and error stuff here, but yeah, just having lots of placements at the end of Virgo and the beginning of Libra. It's a whole vibe. It's a vibe, for sure.
It really is. I really love like Libra's versatility, because on one hand, it was the scales of Lady Justice. And in a sense, it feels like she's Virgo and like the starry maiden. And when the sun starts to come, or whatever we're looking at, starts to come into this area of Libra, it feels like the part of Virgo that becomes Lady Justice. And like, I can feel like her scales and her sword and her winged helmet, and this kind of almost like the weighing of souls that happens. Like we've gone through this immense purging process through Virgo, and then we face like this amazing like justice of our like meeting ourselves in Libra before we go through this kind of almost death putrefaction process of our darkness in Scorpio to be like reborn in Ophiuchus.
Yeah.
So it feels almost like from Virgo to Ophiuchus, it's just like this continuous story. Like one doesn't exist without the other.
Yeah, it's really interesting because in some older astrology mythologies, Libra is actually an extension of Scorpio's claws.
Yes.
So at some point it got separated into a separate constellation, and I couldn't tell you when or who did that without looking it up, but I remember reading that somewhere and I thought that was really fascinating. It's like a preamble. The balancing work is a preamble to a deeper dive. It's kind of like, you know how we have sort of some of these moments with like galactic center and like this spiral up spot between Cetus and Aries. It's kind of one of these moments. Libra is like, pause, breathe, collect yourself, just sort of like, okay, and in we go again.
Like it's like a moment of still point, right? Exactly, that pause, that kind of a breath. It's a little bit lighter. We can tend to enjoy ourselves a bit more in Libra season. It feels like the beautiful host with the amazing music and the delightful hors d'oeuvres and amazing conversation.
Yeah, Libra gets, I feel like it gets a rap as kind of a superficial, surface level personality matrix, but it's really not. I mean, when you really go to the depths of Libra work, it's about creating balance in whatever you're doing. You picked an energy where whatever planet is parked there in your natal chart, it's unbalanced and you are there to create balance with it. And it's a very powerful placement. And it just, because of some of the fixed stars that come through this area, there's a lot of buoyancy, I feel like, that comes with it. And I feel like that's where Libra gets the social, that sort of personality where they're like the social butterfly. But it's just this level of everything's okayness. Like no matter what you're going through, you're just bringing a rainbow and a sunshine beam through the thing, right? So it's a really funny placement because you can go to some really deep depths of like humiliation wounding and things that are just like in the mud, and you're just like trucking through the mud with your cute boots on. You're like, let's get to work.
I love that analogy because even though it, Libra sometimes does get this superficial stamp put on it, there still is something to be said about the surface level and the importance of it. And Libra really does anchor in those codes as well. Of course, what's, beneath the surface matters too, but also, looking nice, having those pretty boots as you.
It's an extension of the inner balance, right? The beauty
Mm-hmm.
on the outside is the Venusian expression. Like it's Venus as the intellect. So it's this outer expression of the inner balance in this kind of interesting fractal, geometric, everything makes sense kind of way.
Well, and it's the beauty way.
Yeah.
So like
absolutely.
in Native American teachings, it's very much that the beauty way is the shamanic way. It's the way of spirit. Everything has its place. Everything is clean. Everything is lovely. And it's in that way too, it's almost in that extension of Virgo. It's with a purpose. It's not just because it looks good. Yes, it looks good, but there's something deeper in it.
Yeah, it's beauty that reflects the true essence of what is, like of source, right? It's that true inner light that just radiates out. I mean, there's some really cool fixed star alignments through Libra, like Hadar, which is like this unconditional love type energy. And that comes through, is seen through Libra. Even though it's in Centaurus constellation, it's seen through Libra alignment. So that's one of the big star energies that comes through that I feel like really kind of gives that heart-centered energy to whatever work you're working on in Libra. Whatever planet you're attuning or is, there to be addressed in some way. So it's a fascinating placement. I mean, obviously I have a sun placement in Libra. I also have a Venus placement in Libra. And it really does make for an interesting personality matrix, because it's almost like nothing can get you down. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. You're just like, well, there it is. Let's just get to work.
Mhm.
You know, I had this like thought about Libra, and since both of you are Libra suns, let's see what you think. But I thought, you know, a Libra would be an amazing spy, because a Libra knows how to talk to people. A Libra is oftentimes good with language. A Libra is very charming, and they know how to like work the scene, but they're also very intelligent. Like, even though if they're like shining a beautiful smile on the outside, they have a calculating mind. It's an air sign on, and it's a, you know, it's a masculine air sign on the inside. And I was like, man, a Libra would make an amazing spy.
I would say if the energy is on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio, yes.
Yeah.
But usually Libra has good intentions at the core. Like, it just wouldn't even cross a Libra's mind to be a spy. They just be like, what would be the point? Why wouldn't you just be honest?
To help
you know?
people, to help people, to save the day, to be
It's
just.
like, well, the truth will set you free, right?
That's right.
Like,
They would
if
just
you
be their
have-
genuine self.
yeah.
They would just be like, you know, little Miss Sunshine, be like, hi, everybody. Let's all be friends.
Yeah, if you have like a lot of Scorpio and Libra placements, perhaps. But yeah, I just don't think it would be appealing, especially, you know, with Libra liking the sunshine and smiles and things like that.
Yeah.
The risk that it could have with your loved ones, because Libra is so focused on their personal relationships, I feel like it would be a little off-putting.
Yeah, it would feel yucky to a Libra.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like, I cannot tell a lie. I'll be honest, like, I'm a terrible liar. So as you know, as much as I can put on, like, I can change gears really easy. Like, I have this personality for this kind of work. Like, say when I was teaching writing lessons, I could go into instructor mode. I could come out of that and do this other thing, like go into this other job mode, go do this other thing. So it's like you can really change gears. You can have a lot of personality lenses, but they're all genuinely you in some way. You're just really good at multitasking or shifting gears with them.
Well, so I've been married to a Libra for a long time, and I was with a Libra in the past as well. And I would say one thing, and maybe this is just in my personal experience, and you guys don't experience this. I find the shadow of Libra very much to tell lies. That a Libra will tell a white lie to keep the peace.
No, that's true. I can totally see that from an afflicted standpoint.
Yeah, really. From an afflicted standpoint, there can be very much like almost like a web of lies, continual lies, just to keep the peace. And for me, that bothers me so much.
Yeah, that's
I could see it from
the Libra. Yeah.
Yeah, like a peacekeeping mechanism, I could say, or, you know, kind of like, hey, do I look fat in this dress or something? Like, no, honey, you don't. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing to keep the peace. But in terms of like lying for personal gain, I think that is very unlike a Libra.
I don't think that's very much a Libra either, because of the justice, because of the amount of like, this is the sign of justice. This is the scales.
Yeah, Libra does have this inherent knowing for repercussions. You know, what you do, what you say has weight. And literally Libra is like the basis of LB, use for pounds. So it's literally like weighing by weight, whether that's metaphorical or literally, to determine what is equal or just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, an afflicted Libra would, it comes from a people-pleasing place, as like a self-preservation mechanism in some way, which Libras deal with a core wound of humiliation wounding, and that is the people-pleasing tendency. That's why they're so focused outside of themselves on making everybody else happy. So if a Libra is fibbing about things, you know that core wound is running and it's unaddressed. and they just
Or
don't
there's
know how
something
to
else
even
going
start
on.
the alchemy on it. Yeah.
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 And that, that is the toughest wound, in my opinion, to work on, because you really have to come to the table and be like, okay, I hear myself doing this and I can't make the words not come out of my mouth, like the verbal diarrhea with the fibs, just, and you have to just figure out how to work through that, which usually means pausing or going away from people for a while, or sometimes it's hanging out with different people that have know how to manage their energy better.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hold them accountable in a kind and gentle way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So another little interesting Libra tidbit. I was looking up some things about Libra, and I found an article that said that actually, if we really broke down the correct pronunciation of Libra, it would be Libra, like a library or a
Yes,
librarian.
ma'am.
So I was like, okay, now I'm not ever going to not hear that in my mind again. Oh, it's really Libra.
Yep. That's the base word of a library.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely have that going on. It's because it's the intellectual aspect of Venus. Venus rules Libra.
Mm-hmm.
So where Venus in Taurus is like the goddess, the full feminine creatrix expression of Venus. Venus Libra. She's also creative in Libra, but she's like the nerdy librarian, like the smart, I like learning things and doing geometry and reading books. Yeah, the sexy librarian, basically. So,
and I like to look at it through this lens too, of when I think of the scales and I think of Venus ruled Libra, and I see, well, that Libra ultimately, it's the judgment that is of the heart. It's the heart that balances everything, and it's the azure, like the still point of the heart, that is the place that is where the scales come to balance. So that is a very deep experience that's happening through Libra, actually. But this is also why, in a way, like Libra is not just this indecisive sign. That's also a lower energy of Libra. Libra is the scales, and it's Venus ruled scales. So it's the scales of the heart, and it's going to actually weigh out the most exact truth. And then we take that exact truth that we meet in ourselves, almost like a bridge through Libra, into the death then process that we experience through, and transformation through Scorpio.
that's it. In a nutshell, it's literally like the who am I questions come up a lot through Libra, I find, because it is that weighing process, right? You're like calibrating what feels true, what feels right. And it's really like this pause moment before you go even. You have to know at some level who you are before you dive into that Scorpio water, because that can be some dank water. And so it is a moment of collecting yourself, and then down we go.
Yeah, I always consider true Libra season to be, it's like the breath of fresh air that you take, and like the deep breath that you take before you go into the sewer of Scorpius.
That's a good way to put it.
And
I
you
always
sort
call
of-
it like a deep well, like with skeletons at the bottom, but sewer fits the bill.
Yeah, for me, it's like murky water. It's water that you can't see through. It's muddy.
Yep.
And, you have to, I mean, there's so much to be said about Scorpio, which I'm sure we'll talk about on our Scorpio episode in the future. But it's like Scorpio is the fixed water sign, but it evolves into a fire sign. But in order to become that fire, you really have to go. It's like the only way out is in. The only way to evolve is by going deeper, deeper downward into this shadow, the shadow water of Scorpio.
Although I've always kind of seen, I see it, I can definitely see it as shadow water, but I've also always kind of seen it as hot springs, like that hot water that you have
Thermal
to
vents.
get into. It's super intense, and it's still and very, like, sometimes it has that putrid smell.
Yeah, like the
like marsh
sulfuric
mud. Yeah, like marsh
almost.
mud.
Yeah. And that's where like
sulfuric,
the
yeah.
extremophiles are. And I would consider like Scorpio being an extremophile, being able to
Yeah.
like live in those thermal vents.
Yeah, I feel like the deep well is my personal metaphor, because there's always some skeletons down there that have been in that water for a while and it be stanking.
Yeah.
And you got to go down there and get them and, bury them, basically. Pull 'em out the well, have a chat, send the ancestor to, because there's so much ancestor work connected to through Scorpio and past life work and learning how to be multidimensional, what that means. And so I always feel like there's a lot of skeletons you have to dig up through Scorpio. If you have Scorpio placements or, through Scorpio season, those things can come up.
Absolutely. Exoskeletons too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. There's so many emanations to Scorpius, and that's what makes it so special, is that it depending on where you are with Scorpio energy, it can really manifest as so many different things. But I mean, obviously that's a Scorpio episode, deep dive.
Yeah.
But
this is just the preface, because we do have several planets moving,
yes,
from Virgo through one of them's even going all the way through to the end of Ophiuchus. So this is just kind of prefacing the energy of November.
Yes.
So it is, it does have a purpose while we're kind of chit-chatting about it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the sun. Let's go see what the sun's doing let's see, it's still in Virgo on November 1st, but like immediately on November 2nd aligns with the last star in Virgo's foot and moves into the void. So on the 2nd of November, the sun enters the Libra Virgo void. And it will stay there for about 5 days as it transits across Zubin El Janubi. I love the Zubin star. They're so fun to say. They are
Zubin
nightmare to spell, but
yeah,
they are fun to say. So that is the first star. It's the right scale star in Libra. And as the sun crosses Zubin El Janubi, it officially enters Libra. And then cruises across Libra for most of the months. I think until the 22nd. Yes. Where it aligns with a star. Okay. Do you see that little blue star below that one? That one. That's the one. It's called Dare Crab Australis. It's Tau Libra. That's it. And when that in most constellation maps is the last star in Libra, according to the ecliptic, like as the sun is perpendicular to the ecliptic. So that alignment with that star happens on November 22nd. And when sun crosses that, it moves into the Libra Scorpio void. So this is all in November. We're hopping a couple of constellations. Yeah. So I think, let's see, November 25th, sun aligns with fixed star Dushuba. I'm not sure if that's the right way to pronounce that, but that is a star in Scorpio. That is one of the claws. Yep, right there. And officially moves into Scorpio, and all of Scorpio is really Scorpio, and Ophiuchus is just a different, like a gradient. Yes. Like at the point of the claws, it's mostly Scorpio, and then as you sort of slide over, it becomes more Ophiuchus as it crosses across his leg there. So there's a lot to talk about just in this area, which I think when we get to our Scorpio and Ophiuchus episode with the zodiac, it's going to be a deeper dive into that, because it really is fascinating to talk about, like the space that it actually moves through Scorpio. The ecliptic moves through Scorpio, and then you go through like a void space underneath Ophiuchus, and then it crosses Ophiuchus's leg and then out the other side. And you've got galactic center on the other side of his leg, and there's a star that kind of denotes the end of a fucus right after the galactic center. So that'll be
Which is like
a bigger
up here.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a bigger story with
Uh-huh.
more star maps and more
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
so
an
much to talk about there.
interesting blend of energies that go on in this area. So
Especially when you consider that an emanation of Scorpius is snake spirit and Ophiuchus is the snake bearer. So these really are inherently linked, and you can't really understand one without the other.
right.
Truly.
You can't have the healing without the deep dive, and
Mhm.
vice versa. So they are kind of intimately entangled. This is
Yeah.
true.
Which is another, point of mainstream astrology trying to get rid of Ophiuchus, because it's a program to keep us in the scorpionic murky depths, as opposed to being able to do the snake grappling and the healing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because the alpha star in Serpens is just before you come into alignment with that first Libra star. Yeah, it should be up there at his head.
Is it this one or this
I
one?
think it's
I
that
think
one
it's
at the
this
Y.
one. Yeah. Beta. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Oh no, that's not it.
Okay. No.
It's Alpha Serpens. Is that it over
Let's see.
there? It's called an yeah, no, that's not it either. Is it Serpens?
Alpha.
I wrote it down enough. You think I would
Okay.
remember?
Serpentis. I think this might be a different. Oh, okay. There it is. Interesting. That's the Alpha
Oh,
star.
that's a nucleus. Oh, okay. I was thinking
Okay.
I think it's maybe Alpheca. That's in Corona Borealis. Sorry. Anyway, if you zoom out, you see like before you move into Libra alignments, I think I was just thinking right brained. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, look, the serpent is ahead of all that stuff. And then there's some alignments right before you come into Libra that is, hang on, let me pull up my software. It's like Alpheca in Corona Borealis, Menkent and Centaurus, and it's Crux down below.
Do you want to pull up your software?
Let's see. Let me do it. Yeah, sure. Let me bring up a screen share. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Take that one. Okay.
Is it letting you share, or do I have to exit out?
It says I'm screen sharing. Can y'all see it? Let's see.
I don't think so. Here, let me do this.
Oh, it's coming on.
Okay.
For me, it just says Janine has started screen sharing, but there we go.
There
All
we go.
right,
It
we're
just
good.
took a minute, maybe because
Cool.
I have a slow Wi-Fi thing. Okay, so let's go over here to where. Now, please keep in mind this star map is sidereal astrology. That's why all the signs are 30 degrees. So ignore that and only use this for the fixed stars. So it's over here. Here we go. A crux, alpha 1 crux, Alpheca, and Menkent. This little cluster right here. This is one end of what I call the Royal Venusian window. It's kind of like this 3-degree window between Zub and El Janubi, which is the first Libra star, and these three. And since Alpheca is in here, this is the crown constellation. Okay, so that's why I call it the Royal Venusian window, because Libra, Venus, crown, royalty. So when I find it very significant, people who have natal placements in this little 3-degree window, and it's also always really interesting when the planets transit through here, because they're only going to be in there for a few days. So this happens on the lead up into Libra alignments, like the planet moving fully into Libra constellation. So the sun will be transiting that. On November 1st, you see Mars is right in the middle of it. Mercury has just passed through it. So there's going to be a lot of this getting pinged off. So that's just a fun little nugget. And then you can see all these other fixed stars that are like trucking through those alignments this month. All the way into, I think Mercury makes it all the way to galactic center, which is way over here, GC. So some of these guys are really hauling ass.
Mercury does.
Yeah. All right, that's good for that. Just so y'all
Nice.
know where some of these alignments are coming from.
I really like that little area as well. Like the Corona Borealis, really, that area that you call the Venusian royal window, it feels like that. It feels like a moment of almost like a golden pause to like straighten your crown before moving forward.
And I find natally, like people with plants there, it doesn't mean you're Venusian. It can mean you have a royal Venusian lineage, but I find that it designates high council member, you know, beings that are working at very high dimensional levels that would be considered a royal lineage. And that just means a sovereign energetic being. It can be from any star being race. My understanding of it has expanded to that, to include that. So yeah, that's interesting spot. So
My
we have
Uranus
that in play this
there.
month. Planets coming through that little spot,
Nice.
which makes it fun. So
does
the
make it
sun will be moving through there November 4th through 7th, just so everybody knows to get your crowns on.
Get your crown, polish up the stones.
That's right. And then let's see, what else do we have going on? Sun will be conjunct Mars on November 18th at Zubin Elakrab or Elakrab. I prefer the L because of the reference to like Elohim, Elohai. Zubin Elakrab. And that is the left Libra scale.
Nice.
So that's the interestingly timed nugget. I think the most interesting Zubin star is obviously the fulcrum star, the middle star, because that is a quantum portal moment right there. Middle central things are quantum. That's like primary versus like linear 1, 2, 3. In a quantum order, 2 is actually primary, like the middle is primary. So Zubin Shamali is a very interesting quantum portal star there. It's the balance point, right?
Yeah, the middle of the scale is going to say would be the still point. Yes.
Yeah. And we do have some things partying, you know, at that location too. They'll be crossing that. So those days will be interesting when we get to the planets that are doing that. Obviously, Mars will be doing that a couple of days before he aligns or is conjunct the sun. The 18th is significant because it's Sun conjunct Mars. Just happens to be at Zubin Elakrab or that left scale star. So a couple days before that, he'll be hanging out at Zubin Shamali. Good time. And then the sun. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, saying whoever named these stars for Libra just is amazing. They're really amazing.
Yeah, I found some stuff today on the Zubin stars, why they were named that. And I think they literally refer to like balance. I think that was the reference. I might still have that page pulled up on my phone. Maybe. Oh, yeah, I do. Do I? Might have been a Google search. Anyway. Yeah, but I was looking up, like, I don't know why I was getting interesting synchronicities with Ma'at, like M-A''AT. And that was the thing I Googled, and it came up with Libra associations. And I was like, what? Like, how is that? I'm like, there is some crazy synchronicity going on. Oh, yeah, it was an Ascension Glossary. Libra is associated with the scales of Ma'at, an ancient Egyptian goddess. Matthew the tax collector. I think it was in this that it said that. Anyway, if anybody's interested in looking up those associations, Ascension Glossary, and type in Ma'at in the search, and you can read all about it. But yeah, the Zubins have to do with, are connected with that somehow. Fascinating things. So we do have a few other, the sun has a few other significant fixed star alignments. It will be aligned with Anuculi in Serpens on November 14th. And that is the snake that Ophiuchus holds. There he is, Anuculi. That's a pretty big star. Yeah, bright magnitude star.
Integrating those shamanic currents as we move forward towards that deeper level.
The Kundalini, balancing the Kundalini, right? Like I always think of Serpens as like Ophiuchus handling his own energy, his own Kundalini energy.
Yep, the creative force. And it's interesting because Ophiuchus kind of plays the same role of bridging Virgo through Libra, Scorpius to Sagittarius as Cetus does from Pisces to Aries, except Cetus does it under and Ophiuchus does it over. So it's just kind of a very interesting bridge point.
Yeah, it really is.
Which makes sense because in all that Virgo energy of, you know, what's quote unquote right, right? It's like, what is, you know, are you building the utopia? Are you anchoring in heaven? If not, then you have to use your Kundalini, you know, balance yourself out to figure out what is right, what is wrong, what's working, what's not, and do the shadow work for it.
Yeah, it's like an evaluation point. I mean, that's literally what the skills are. It's an evaluation point. Where are you at? And then let's dig in some more. Because you're creating that bridge. Yeah.
So we can step into our, you know, like that full masterful being, Kundalini activated shamanic self.
That galactic being. I really feel like Ophiuchus is the galactic human, right? Because he's hanging out, holding space with galactic center in the Milky Way.
Although I have to say that I know that Ophiuchus is related to masculine energy and through its story and all of this. I definitely have also a very feminine energy from Ophiuchus. I feel like the original serpent bear was the goddess, and that like the serpent rights in a sense were taken from us. And so there's a way that I feel like we're also recoding and reclaiming the sacred feminine through Ophiuchus. And like when you look at the serpent's mouth, when it's open and it looks like a yoni, but then you see the serpent that also then looks like the lingam, it feels like we're absolutely balancing those masculine and feminine energies there as well.
Yeah, the serpent is such a masculine and feminine reference. It's a really interesting animal archetype.
Yeah, if we consider Ophiuchus themselves as a masculine entity and serpents as a feminine entity, you know, Lilith was, you know, supposedly the serpent. So it's that feminine energy that it just is inherently creative, can create on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
there's
an
a lot
androgynous
of like,
type archetype. The animal,
yeah.
it's an androgynous animal archetype. Yeah.
But also from like something with the galactic center feeling so like such a almost like an orgasmic moment of the zodiac and its opposition to Orion. I also feel a lot of feminine codes moving through that space with Ophiuchus as well.
For sure, especially since Scorpius rules the genitals and sex. It really only makes sense. Ophiuchus is the big O.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's the easiest way to remember the archetype.
That's true.
Whoever hears this will forever
Be like,
No.
why haven't we included Ophiuchus in the who thought that was a good idea?
Exactly.
That's right. It could be like the pelvic floor region, if Scorpio is the genitals, Ophiuchus is definitely the pelvic floor and
Mhm.
Well,
that
and
layer
it's like
before you
the-
pop through.
It's like the
I've also seen
reproductive
Scorpio.
system is Ophiuchus, whereas the sexual organs and like sex itself is Scorpio. That's how I've seen it.
I've seen it a little bit opposite, where it was more like the like the organs and such, and even the because Scorpio is also putrefaction, so it's also defecation. So all of that, and that Ophiuchus was more like the actual bits and the orgasmic parts. But it kind of feels like it's like, again, how can we really tease any of those apart from one another? Like Scorpio and Ophiuchus are, I sometimes lovingly call it Scofucus. It really does feel like one in the sky.
Yeah, they're inseparable.
They're inseparable.
Yes. So that was that was a new
On the
that we were chatting about.
Yeah, this one.
And then Sun aligns with Hadar, which is Beta Centaurus, on November 16th. So that's down, below the ecliptic in this screen. Oh, Hadar. Hadar is a big, big star. And then on the 22nd, Sun aligns with Rigel Kent, which is Alpha Centauri over there in the Centaur's knee. So two pretty, and that's also a very large star. So very interesting fixed stars, very different energies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hadar is very feminine and sort of unconditional love, and Rigel Kent's more like it's love, but it's like also I feel like it's got more masculine energy integrated. Like I'm a warrior. I love you, but I ain't taking no shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the vibe that comes off of it. It also has its kind of low vibe emanations with that centaur, like the hybridization stuff. There can be some challenging things that comes through Alpha Centauri. So,
and I feel like those
alignment.
Hadar positions too, being that it's such a compassionate star, then it's going, especially in its opposition to Algol, it's going to shine a lot of light on some things that might be hard to see, but it will do so in a really loving way that will be easy to accept.
Yeah, maybe not fun, but definitely compassionate. Yeah, it's compassionate.
Not fun, but yes.
Yeah, because Algol is some intense energy. So people, like you said, thank you for mentioning Algol, because that's really always important to remember with Hadar for people who have natal placements or, when the sun's transiting. The opposition is exactly opposite Algol in Perseus constellation, which is Medusa's head in that constellation. So it does talk about holding compassionate, loving energy for that sort of demonized feminine, and being a witness consciousness and helping to heal it in a very unconditional way. So again, not easy or fun sometimes, but definitely like, okay, that's literally like, let's put on the pretty galoshes and go slogging through the mud kind of vibe that comes through Libra. Like, let's go do it. Medusa needs a hug. Let's go give her a hug.
I totally relate.
She needs her hair combed. Let's go get the snake comb and go do it, right?
Yep.
So that's some big stuff. Yeah, big stuff coming through the sun.
Yeah, I have a lot in that Algol Hadar polarity.
Yeah, we're not far apart in birthdays, so we both have that opposition going on natally, and it is quite intense.
It is.
you hold a lot of energy for things going on. Like, it's like seeing the world scene and being like, well, okay, there's some shenanigans going on, and what can I do about it? You just come to the table with that kind of energy.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because before I even knew I was a Libra, knew anything about true sky astrology, when I thought I was a Scorpio, I had like my unconditional love heart opening kind of young, like late teens. And, I would talk about unconditional love so much and try to literally teach people about it and, express it and explain it and things. And I had no idea, I just thought this was a topic that I was, interested in because I could feel it. My heart chakra has that access to that vibration. And so once I learned about Hadar, I was like, oh my gosh, everything makes so much more sense. I need to put some boundaries on this unconditional love vibration now.
Yeah, that's really Libra's lesson, is appropriate boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big lesson.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're just consistently responding to your environment or other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to learn to anchor that fulcrum for yourself. Yeah.
Libras can be a doormat. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're pretty smart. I feel like most Libras I know how to work their magic pretty good.
Yeah, that's if you're a Libra, if you have placements in Libra, that's literally your job with that planet or luminary, is to bring it up to snuff, bring it up to level, literally. Like to get the hang of it and rock it out. It comes in unbalanced, and you do the internal shifting, you do the weighing and balancing, and you turn that shit around, right? So it is a very powerful sign, because when you think about, like, if you've got Libra, say, at your ascendant, it sets the wheel of your chart. Everything's opposite. So think about how you're creating balance in your whole life if you have a Libra ascendant. That's the perfect example to show you, like, how those energies want to integrate. You want to integrate everything in your chart.
Yeah.
I don't have a Libra. I do have a Libra ascendant. I was thinking of you when I said this.
Oh,
Sashi.
No, I'm Gemini, so it's a different
Gemini
kind of
ascendant. So
split.
that's not quite your job in this lifetime, but like for anybody with a Libra ascendant, they're definitely here to create balance in all areas of their life.
For sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
Gemini is integrating polarities, so there's definitely something to be
still
said
there.
for,
It's very
it's
similar.
still
I mean, they're
there.
both air. Yeah, exactly.
and
They're both
integrating
air.
the two sides.
And there's something to be said about Libra and the heightened ability to integrate when they are interacting with another person or entity or something like that. Like, so much of Libra is learning how to handle another.
Yeah.
How to interact,
how to play
else.
Nice with others.
Exactly. Yeah. On a one-on-one relationship.
Yeah. Without giving too much or taking too much shit,
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you hit the boundary, and that's okay. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later. Or whatever it is, or, yeah, it's interesting how similar those two ascendants are. It's like one's Venus, but intellectual, and one's Mercury, which is automatically intellectual. So not dissimilar.
Same but different. It's a very Gemini Libra conversation to have.
So is. Oh my gosh, we have so much Gemini and Libra energy.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I know, it's so funny. Okay, so we
All
made
right.
it through the sun. Is it how
Yes.
many hours in are we?
So 1 hour.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
let's move
Okay,
to
let's
the moon.
keep rolling.
All right.
Okay, that'll be a very long time stamp.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
we can go through the moon fairly quickly because there's no eclipses next month. Yay.
Thank goodness, finally a new moon without the eclipse portal energy.
I know.
And then look at where the new moon is. It's right on that
Libra.
fulcrum star of Libra. So instantly, after all these eclipses, we're going straight into a space where we're going to be working out the things in our emotional body that keep us from that still point place and having access to it.
Yeah, it's opening a 28-day lunar cycle where that is the overtone for the whole month. Amazing. Thank you, universe, right?
Seriously. It really feels like such a gift. Like after all that we've been going through in the collective, in eclipse season and everything else, it feels like a bit of a grace.
Yeah,
to
and
come
the
into this
Venus
space.
retrograde work that was so intense earlier this year. And you
Oh,
cannot
that
make
whole
this stuff
summer.
up. The new moon's on the 13th. So if there's any doubt that we're integrating feminine coding through this lunar cycle, there it is.
Beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. So the interesting thing, like it's a Venus kind of ruled energy, because Venus rules Libra. It's conjunct Mars though. Mars is right there.
Yeah.
There's a 1.5 degree orb to Mars.
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
intense.
it is like that's a lot of hierogamic, masculine feminine integration energy that wants to happen through that lunar cycle.
A lot of integration for the masculine. Like, wow.
You got
Especially
your right scale and your left scale, right?
Yeah.
And all this is happening right at the fulcrum point though. So it's all right there. Fascinating. It's opposite. The new moon's opposite Uranus retrograde in the seated Aries, sort of right under the ram's back legs. So we have Uranus retrograde energy in the mix in opposition. Fascinating. Could feel a little erratic,
Yeah. And
surprise,
we can
surprise.
see with Mars Uranus opposition as well. I mean, we know the timelines that are being attempted to be ushered in. And Uranus really shakes things up in that unexpected, sudden kind of way. And we know that Mars can hold templating of war. So we also know that, like, where on one hand, that energy, there's those who want to use that energy in nefarious ways. We actually know that that energy can be used completely in creating upgraded masculine templates. So it's really fun to actually, if we can think of it like this is fun. Like we get to like shifters of consciousness by attuning to the truth.
Yeah. So with Libra energy, it's like some of the stuff that can come up in the emotional body is like anxiety. It can just be nervousness, like this underlying, like, oh God, I'm just not at ease. And to ground you really have to go deeper to be like, nope, I'm grounded. My feet are plugged into the earth core and I am solid. And you just go in deeper to balance. You find the true, it causes you to go in so deep that you find that true version of yourself. So I feel like that's really some of the lessons or the things that are going to come up and challenge us. You really have to hold space for your feminine to express the things that are still stuck. And your masculine energy has to know enough to be able to address what it is and ground even deeper. So it can be
for sure. And especially like new moon in Libra always gives me like new relationship type energy. It's like if there's a different kind of relationship out there, and seek it. And especially with this Mars and moon energy, it's like the amount of feminine magic that you can do is based on the amount of masculine safety that can be provided. So the type of masculine and feminine energy that you're embodying is basically going to reflect in whatever type of partnership that you're attracting, especially around this day. So for anyone who's like single, looking for, a new partner, or even if you're trying to like shift things in a relationship that you're already a part of, this is a really great day to do that kind of work as a partnership, or again, as a single person looking for that And especially like with what George is saying, that the type of timelines that certain forces are trying to anchor in, like this is a really great time to focus on the beauty in the world. Like literally find people that bring new types of beauty into your world, that remind you of the good things, remind you of the best parts of humanity, and take your focus off of the lower emanations of Martian force.
Yeah. And if you don't have a partner or aren't seeking a partner, even if you do have a partner, some of the work could just come through interacting with another person. Like,
It
it's
could be
just
a friend.
interpersonal.
It can
Yeah,
be a
it could be
friend.
anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner.
Exactly. It could come through partner work specifically. It could also just be like, oh, hey, I met this person and it was really great. You know, we hit it off and we're going to do some work together. Or it can be somebody who is a practitioner for you that, you know, maybe it's your chiropractor or a teacher, or it can be anybody that is, it's literally, because Libra is really kind of like the mirror, the person outside of you that's reflecting something to you. So it can just be any kind of interpersonal thing
I think
that could trigger the thing, right? Or you
Mhm.
could do the alchemy through that, through noticing your reaction to having a conversation. That person really triggered me, and I held my energy, right? I knew when to bow out or whatever, you know, you just masterfully took charge of the situation in whatever way was appropriate.
right. And I think that speaks beautifully to that. This will also illuminate self-worth issues. So like even in that scenario that you painted, it was like, wait, that doesn't work for me. And that's actually a moment of self-worth. Or like, oh wait, I was able to handle myself better this time. That's a moment of reclaiming self-worth. So I think a lot of self-worth things come up in this time period as well.
Absolutely. And because we're talking about moon energy, this is a moon cycle, it's an overtone for the emotional processing. So definitely self-worth stuff coming to the surface. Like, you know, purging, well, not purging, but maybe highlighting, illuminating any kind of humiliation, wounding, whether that's masculine or feminine, you know, that kind of thing. So,
and with Mars there, anger and aggression, and how that is
reactions.
handled.
Yeah, reactions.
Impulses.
Yeah.
Especially in one-on-one relationships or anything that is this versus that, right? It's like two sides and balancing it out.
So if stuff does come up through an interaction with someone and you do feel a reaction, the alchemy is to pause and breathe, put one breath in between the thought and the words coming out of your mouth, literally, and take an action that feels kind and loving, whether that is an appropriate boundary for yourself, like excusing yourself from the conversation, or, you know, putting another, like maybe the boundary is no thank you, I will pass, or, you know, whatever, or that's not appropriate, I'm not okay with that. Like sometimes the self-worth comes in interesting ways, you know, like somebody's crossing a line and you're just like, no thank you, sir, goodbye.
Exactly.
So just, you know, make sure you're putting a space in there. And even if it's like you have to excuse yourself, sometimes that is the boundary, and that is enough.
And, you know, having this right at the fulcrum, that still point, it's also saying like, when you have that moment, when you feel that flare up, what does your heart like? Can you stop and tune in with your heart?
Yeah. Can you give it that space to actually think? Because that's the nugget. That's the challenge, is the Mars thing is coming from a reaction. It's coming from a program. If you give it that space, you can stop the program in its tracks and reroute your timeline, basically.
Yes.
The better you get at it, the better you get the breathe and pause, the more space you can put in there each time, and you can choose your words, you can choose your actions, and that's Libra in a nutshell.
And that is definitely Mars and Libra. Like Mars and Libra doesn't want to fight with fists. It wants to have a gentleman's conversation between scholars. So it's going to do its best work.
It's like a ninja Zen Buddhist, right?
Yes.
Right. It's like this majorly adept Zen Buddhist. Like somebody's having a conversation that guy doesn't want to listen to, and he just turns around and walks away, and the other guy's like, "What?" All right, and the guy's like, "There was nothing I could say to add to the conversation, so I left."
Or maybe that Libra knows how to say just the right thing, where suddenly the conversation completely transforms, and the person who was talking has no idea what just happened, but suddenly we're here and it's great.
That's true too. That is a very Libra skill. Rerouting.
Yeah. Rerouting is very
Yes.
Libra.
Yes. Very diplomatic. Yes.
Yes.
Changing of the subject very eloquently. So fun. It's gonna be a fun lunar cycle.
It is, especially because the full moon's in Taurus. So this Libra Taurus moon cycle, for me, like the Libra Taurus energy is the axis of love. So much of it has to do with our ability to access the vibration of love, how we allow love and beauty into our life, just as an overarching theme. And especially nowadays where it's like, I feel like love and beauty have really taken a back seat to the collective for so many reasons. A lot of it, the demonization of the feminine, of course, but this is a really good moon cycle to rekindle those.
Play,
topics.
be creative.
Yeah.
You know, get out your coloring pencils, draw some things, design some things, get creative with things, feng shui your house, make it beautiful. Those kinds of things. I also think it's funny that it's basically a Venus, you know, new moon, full moons, both Venus ruled placements, and you know, the new moon being on November 13th. I'm like, just more confirmations that we're in this feminine integration phase. Love it, love it, love it.
Yep.
So let's see, what other aspects do we have with the new moon? Just a few. Trine Neptune, that is still in retrograde in Pisces. So that feels kind of supportive for recoding like consciousness programs, reconnecting to your spiritual self, that kind of thing. That feels nice. So, here's the nugget, square black moon Lilith in retrograde in Leo. So there's going to be sovereignty challenges coming through, like wounded divine feminine things. I feel like, you know.
And that self-worth stuff coming up there too, with like, where do I fit in? How do I shine my light? How does what I have to add?
What does my light even look like? Yeah.
Yeah, and that can
good... Go ahead. No, you go. You go.
I was gonna say, like the black moon Lilith stuff within Leo, a lot of it is like the feminine vengeance and feminine, like the dark feminine, and how, you know, if it's running the show or not integrated properly or imbalanced, can stop the soft, nurturing, you know, beauty oriented feminine from being able to come through. So especially with the new moon conjunct Mars, like anger, vengeance,
controlling
like those,
feminine energy.
Or like, you know, people who have done your feminine energy wrong, made it feel unsafe, took advantage of it, whatever. Like it's kind of like that woman scorned, like hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. Like that's the kind of energy that it's good to release so that you can have new emotional beginnings with relationships. It's kind of like how people say, like don't bleed on the people that didn't hurt, you know, give you that wound or whatever. And I feel like this Libra new moon with the Taurus full moon is like all about that.
Heal your wounds so you don't bleed on people who didn't cause them, or something.
That is the saying.
Yeah.
And that saying applies particularly to like feminine vengeance.
Yeah. It could be like the controlling female archetype too, like somebody who's over control, a control freak type thing, because they just don't know their true power. So they're playing, really people who control other things are just playing small. So that feels like a challenge too, is like release the clench.
Because it's like if you don't feel safe within yourself, then you try to control everyone around you in order to have a false sense of security.
And that leads us to the last aspect, is an inconjunct to the North Node in Pisces. And I'm like, you know me, I love inconjuncts. I think they're fascinating. They're not easy, but they're definitely fascinating. And I was like, wow, it's like you don't even know your true potential. You don't even know your true spiritual potential with that aspect. So, you know, really it's like that feels like get out the big piece of paper, like, you know, the easel size piece of paper and do word association, like get right brained with stuff, like open the floodgates to possibilities, take, I don't want to say risks, but choose things that maybe aren't in your regular routine. Just, you know, trust spirit when it brings you synchronicities. Follow the clues. Like you have no idea how amazing it can be. So
Agreed.
I think that's a fascinating one.
I agree.
May feel a little bit, you know, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable because it might feel like you're following the breadcrumb trail and you're like, I don't even know where this is going. Follow it anyway. See if you can think of it as a game. Like, we're just going to do this and see what happens. Oh, that'll definitely be an interesting one.
Wow. Nice.
I know that's a lot. That's a lot for that lunar
definitely.
cycle. We are tackling a lot of energy.
We really are.
Awesome. So y'all just surf the heck out of it next month. The play out in the next lunar cycle, or the integrations are going to be amazing.
You know, when you just said surf it, I have this image of, you know, when you're playing in the ocean, I don't know if y'all play in the ocean, but and the wave comes and it pulls you under and you're like flipping around. And if you try to fight it, there's zero fight. But if you just let it do its thing, it will push you back out onto the shore and you'll be okay.
Yeah, roll around in it a little bit and let it pop you out the other side.
Let it. Just let it. The more, if you struggle, you might hurt yourself. Just let it and you'll be okay.
Yeah, that really feels true with that inconjunct. It's like, don't struggle. Just follow the clue. Just have a little fun with it.
Just let it. Yeah.
Yeah, just go for it. It's fine. Call off work. Go do something. Go roll down some hills. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. I always say that too. Like when people start moving into fourth dimensional type work and the synchronicity just goes off the chart, it's like, you can't act like you didn't see it. You have to acknowledge it and you have to be willing to take action on it. And inconjuncts are very much kind of that way. It's like you saw it, you can't unsee it. Now go follow it, right? You know, go do the thing. So you have to give yourself enough space to chase those rainbows. Because that's part of reframing reality, is like you can't live in the matrix and also live in the fifth dimension without making some adjustments, right? So, okay, you guys feel like anything else you want to throw on the hat on the new moon?
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm not sure what happened. It looks like my Wi-Fi dropped for a second. So let me see.
It says we're still alive.
Okay, awesome.
It probably did that through the live. We're fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yep, it's good.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we seem to still be on the phone. I'm watching the live.
It's seamless. You guys held down the fort. So because you were still in the
right on. Yeah, it's back. Okay, we're good.
Okay, we're good.
All right. So I guess that's our memo to move on. Like, we've
Yeah.
talked enough about the new moon. Let's move on to the full moon. As Sashi said, also in Taurus, it will be on November 27th. The moon will be in the area in Taurus that is known as the Hyades, which is the little Y shape. Let's see. On this, it's 6:51 a.m. according to the True Sky or the True Sidereal software. So it's probably a little bit more over to the left.
For me, I have it 6:51.
Oh, okay. Where's Hyadium 1? Can you see it on there? Oh, is it because where's your ecliptic in relation to this? That might be the thing. It's probably,
Yeah, the ecliptic is different. So it's probably something like, let's see.
yeah. It's aligned
It's
with
like,
it. Doesn't
yeah,
mean
it's probably
in
like
it.
this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not quite aligned without, yeah, okay.
So
So
yeah, it's
the
aligning with
perpendicular
this.
goes to the left. I think Hadean one is to the above and to the right of his nostril in Taurus. That brighter, no, the one closer to the nose.
This one? This
No.
one? No, that's all the way.
That one. I think it's that
This
one.
Okay,
Yep,
there we
that's
go.
it.
All right.
So the moon's aligned with Hadean one within 1 degree. So it's in the region of alignment with the Hyades. Which is a really, it's another very feminine feeling cluster. I feel like, I don't know how you guys feel about Hyades, but I feel like it's very feminine, kind of like Hadar. Let's see.
I would say that's true. There's definitely that a very feminine feeling through this whole part of Taurus is the part of Taurus that, like, what we know Taurus for, like in the broader understanding of Taurus, very feminine, very beautiful, very artistic, very loving.
Yeah, I call the Hyades the flux capacitor.
Oh.
Taurus. If y'all have ever seen Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
Because it looks like that Y shape.
All right, yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
The flux capacitor, the moon's gonna shoot right through the flux capacitor.
Yeah, I see it as like the tuning fork. So for me, a lot of it has to do with like musical abilities and the beauty of that.
I like that. That's very Venusian. I could see that.
Yeah, Taurus is most known for artistry through music. Through what happens through the mouth.
The
So
throat,
singing,
yeah.
speaking,
Yeah.
eating.
Like all that, the Hyades are all up in his like nasal passages where all those tones resonate through, up through the throat and out the mouth and through the nasal cavities. So I can see that. So do some toning, humming. Like that might be an interesting way to integrate the energies. Like sit down and just sing a little bit. Do some mantra, do some chant. Well, I don't really ever recommend mantra. Do some toning and whatever wants to come out naturally out your mouth. Maybe it's cuss words. Let it roll. You got to get it out.
Music is always a really powerful way to work with the energies in general, because we live in a universe and we are sound beings. So truly, actually, like making music and our own sound has the capacity to heal us. Like our own voice has the capacity to heal the waters within our body.
Yeah.
So singing and toning and just like making a joyful noise, even if you don't think you know how, you do. And just have fun with it. And sometimes, like, to help people get over their kind of awkwardness about making noise, you can start out by making the ugliest sound you can make. If you can just make the ugliest sound you can possibly make, then you'll not make an uglier sound than that. Everything else you do will be better from there.
Yeah, everything else is more beautiful.
And sometimes that helps.
You don't even have to do it in the presence of other people. Do it in the shower, like wait till everybody leaves the house and just do it in the shower or whatever. Just
sometimes
give it a
people
try.
have a hard time even hearing themselves, but the shower is a great place because just like the sound of the water kind of muffles. It's safe in there. Yeah.
Everybody likes singing in the shower.
Absolutely.
There's also some interesting, more technical techniques, like it's not Kriyas, but it could just be like Kundalini type practice, where you literally touch your teeth together and just hum, and because your teeth are piezoelectric, you're literally tuning your head chakras, and it's such an interesting feeling vibration wise. And there's also some practices where you can put your tongue on the roof of your mouth in different places and just hum a tone through there, and you'll feel it moving energy up and down your central column, trying to connect your chakras through your throat and your head. So there's also some technical things. You can do some playful stuff and mess around with some of the more like bioenergetic practices as well. Dance, sing, and play.
Absolutely. And because it's a full moon, a lot of it has to do with emotional release and letting go of things. So however that wants to come out, release it. It's also a good time to get rid of anything that really isn't like your style anymore, or anything that you don't think is like, bring anything that doesn't bring more beauty into your life or comfort.
Yeah. Because Taurus is the house of goddess Venus. So
Yes.
clear out what is not your authentic resonance through the full moon, and allow what is to surface, like, because it comes from within, right? So that's really, I feel like, the integration point with the full moon is to let that goddess come on up.
And because we're working with the lunar frequencies through this, just be honest with yourself where you're being a little stubborn.
Yeah.
Be honest where you're, like, in the areas of your life where you're just obstinate with yourself, and you know it. Like, it's a good time to actually, like, to lift that rock and peek at what's underneath right now.
The possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it could also come through emotional release. The clearing could come through emotional releases, like you said.
And any imbalance that you have with the material world, this is a really great time to assess that as well. Whether it's, your relationship with housing, money, food, music, right? There's also the other end of the arts of, like, do you just listen to depressing music all the time? Are you watching, trauma porn on television all day, the news, and psychodrama, dystopian movies and things like that? This is a really great time.
That would be an
an
interesting shift to make on the outside. Like, when you think about the tuning fork and resonance, it's like, turn off the vibrations that are dissonant in your life and embrace nature and beauty. Go out for a stroll. Like, Taurus is so out in nature. Go look at a flower, right? Because those codes can activate things. Flowers are mandalas. Go surround yourself with natural beauty and turn off the bullshit.
Because it's a values upgrade.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we're
I love that.
Upgrading our values.
Align with the natural world. Yes.
Yeah. Especially when you consider all the things that are, bringing different tuning resonance, things that you don't even see, right? So it's like, turn your Wi-Fi off. Put your phone on airplane mode. If you have a television, obviously the programming, but even what sort of EMFs is it giving off? Do you have a smart fridge that's sending weird codes to all your food and things
get rid
like
of that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Realign with nature. Get in tune with circadian. You got to watch with moon stuff in Taurus or second house sometimes. Well, all the time, like emotional spending, or watch out for
eating.
Just like emotional eating, or just wanting to bring things in that are unnecessary, like, because that's an avoidance thing for something emotional, right?
Right.
Let's go buy more stuff so I don't have to look at this. So watch out for that.
Especially with the lunar cycle starting in Libra, of like, maybe what are you not getting out of your relationships, or human to human interaction, platonic and romantic, that you're trying to fill a void with something physical, like shopping, right? With inanimate objects.
Yes.
Because definitely Taurus is known to fill the void with things.
Because Taurus in the second house is like the house of manifest. Is that the word I want to use? Materialization. Thank you. Watch out for that M word. So it can be, you can look to the outside world to fulfill the hole, that the desire hole, and what you have to do is the opposite, is go into the hole and be like, oh, there's actually, like, I'm down in here buried under some layers of things. Let's have the emotional release or whatever it is, and align with that truer frequency And then it's like your cup runneth over on the outside. So it's Taurus and second house things are always like what's on the inside manifests on the outside. And if there's, emotional stuff going on, like a lot of times it comes with like trying to fill the void, literally with stuff. So just watch out for those tendencies for sure. And just don't be afraid. I think that so much of Taurus stuff is like, they're just afraid to get into the depth of the feeling of the thing. It feels a little scary, I think, sometimes.
Oh yeah, because I mean Taurus is all about, kind of sticking to your principles. It's fixed earth. It doesn't really like change. And so everything that's opposite of it, which a lot of it is Scorpio, is like change is the only constant. So buckle up, Taurus.
You got this, Taurus. You got this.
You got it.
Yeah, so some of the aspects, the sun obviously is opposite in Scorpio, so we are going to be doing some of that balancing, that counterbalancing, the shadow work, the emotional stuff, and the grounded stability of Taurus. So it does feel like an emotional sort of illumination, right? Sun illuminating something emotional. You have to stand your ground, but also go in and just allow it. Allow it. So it can shift. So there's a big integration lesson there for sure. And I think it's fascinating that the sun has just entered into Scorpio. Like it's just crossed through the claws. It literally looks like the Scorpio is holding a pearl.
Yeah.
That's
like, us.
Oh, that's us. Oh, that's amazing.
So
How
cute.
funny.
There's your Libra too. Oh, so cute.
Oh, cute. You're just a cute little scorpion. So yes. Yeah, and the claws side of Scorpio is definitely the offensive side. Right. Like I feel like the tail is the defensive side.
Yeah.
More subversive, can be more sneaky. The claws are definitely like, I'm coming at you.
Yeah.
So it does feel like there is something coming your way. Just get ready for it to lob over to that full moon side in Taurus over there and just tune it. Just sit with it, tune it, sing a song to it.
Yeah, a little lullaby.
A little lullaby, you'll be okay. So
we also have the Mars opposition to that as well. So that's
Sun conjunct Mars, both opposite the full moon. Yeah, fascinating.
It's like less doing, more being.
Yeah. And Mars is in the Libra Scorpio void. It's not technically in Libra or Scorpio. So that's kind of a juicy placement. He's kind of in the nether realms between the two. So that feels like, how do you want to play this with Mars, right? Like you got some options here if you can hang with that energy. You can code
like,
it.
Is it like, are you going to take the balanced approach of Libra? Or are you, it kind of like reminds me of that Kermit the Frog meme of like the hood. It's like if you allow, the Scorpio Mars stuff to come out, that's like the hooded Kermit.
Yeah,
you gotta be careful because that's when the sting can come out too, even though obviously Mars is near the claws, but
lashing out. Yeah.
Mars is at home in Scorpio. Mars is the original ruler. So I totally agree about that hooded Kermit.
Yeah.
But I also see that Mars and Scorpio, like in its more positive side, it's like the part of Mars that's the priest. It's like, who is Mars when we're not at war? Like when we're not in the time of the Kali Yuga, for instance, like we're in a time of peace on the planet, then what role does Mars play? And oftentimes I see it more as like a kind of priestly kind of role. So, and with Mars and Scorpio, certainly it has a huge, vast array of like how it can show up. But I feel like part of how it shows up is like in kind of the role of like like the spiritual man.
Yeah, a balanced divine masculine. It's kind of like an all-rounder, I feel like. It's an all-round divine masculine standing in his power.
Because Scorpius is so much about change and evolution, and truly only Mars can facilitate change in a way, because Mars is the planet of action and moving forward. So Mars loves being in Scorpio, just for the sake, because, things are getting done. Things are changing.
Yeah, excavating the hidden depths. Like that's a Mars term for sure.
And it can obviously manifest in a lot of ways, but like Mars and Scorpio really gives me tower moment energy, for better or for worse.
Yes. 100%. It's also interesting to note, because for the full moon, the alignment with Mars is to Corniferous, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Hercules constellation. I was like, there's some major masculine energy going on. So I think you had him up there.
Where's
it's
okay?
above
oh, there he is.
him.
Okay, I was like, where did he go?
That's
Okay, yeah,
him.
and he has that the Hydra.
Yeah, so super interesting alignment.
That
Big
is
masculine
interesting.
energy.
You could see it, you could see how that could play out in some pretty extreme ways. Like it definitely has a propensity to go very dark. But it also has the possibility, and I would say the probability, of a lot of deep healing work for the masculine.
Yeah. Again, another
lot of, like,
balancing of the
courage.
feminine and the masculine, because the moon is in Taurus. The sun is, in Scorpio, so it's masculine, feminine kind of.
And Hercules is a great example of demigod masculine energy, of like masculine understanding their own divinity and being able to use their quote unquote superpowers for good.
Yes.
For sure. And I don't really talk this much about these aspects, but there is a semi-sextile to Jupiter from the full moon. And those are just kind of like slightly awkward, I feel like. It's like, because Jupiter and the moon are about 30 degrees away. So they're, just different energies, different modes, different. And it's just like, huh? Kind of like, are you talking my language? I think you are. So nothing too major. They're not considered major aspects. Just interesting that some aspect of, the self wants to integrate and expand.
Truth.
Interesting moon stuff this month in November. Interesting.
Are we ready for?
Yeah, it does feel like a grace period. Like everything that came up through the eclipse cycle, this is the month for it just to simmer in those masculine and feminine energies, and like do some sifting and sorting and get everything in divine right order, that kind of thing.
Definitely. And it's a great lunar energy, because Taurus and Libra are both so peaceful generally. Yeah, generally very peaceful. But if something's disrupting the peace,
watch out.
Yeah.
And you get the charging bull.
Then you get angry bull.
Yeah, and the gavel of judgment.
Yes. Judgy Libra. Yeah. Oh yeah, Judgy Libra. Watch out for Judgy Libra. All right, let's move on. Rolling on to Mercury. Do we still have people? We have people still in the chat. You guys must be on the other side of the planet. Where it's like,
or they're just night owls like us.
We're your night owls. We do love our night owls.
We appreciate you being here for sure.
Thanks, crew. Let's see if there's any questions before we move on. Zeba says she's a Taurus rising. Ooh la la. You're going to be feeling that full moon, girl.
Yeah, definitely.
That is definitely coming up. Interesting. All right, let's roll on to Mercury.
All right, November 1st, Mercury's there.
Mercury is the one that's doing like just a huge span, going from Libra to Scorpio to Fucus. And at the end of the month, we'll be crossing galactic center. Watch him go.
So fast.
Speedy guy. Zoom right across the Milky
Yeah.
Way.
Oh, having Mercury being my ruling planet, it just makes so much sense with how like I go.
Yeah. Speedy lady. You're
Mhm.
literally like Sonic the Hedgehog. Like,
Honestly, yeah. I have so many projects too. I
Yeah.
definitely feel all the Gemini Mercury energy.
okay, let's see if we can do this.
Mhm.
Do Mercury.
Let's do
quick then.
Mercury speedy.
Mercury's
Yeah.
going fast. Okay,
All right,
Mercury
let's go
enters
back.
Libra on November 1st. So he was sailing through the Virgo Libra void. As we're talking about it, he's still
Mhm.
approaching the Virgo Libra void, but he will be sailing through that at the end of October. 1st of November pops right into Libra. On the 9th of November enters the Libra Scorpio void. And then on the 11th officially enters Libra, or sorry, Scorpio.
11/11.
11/11. And then this is where it gets tricky, and I think we'll have a bigger discussion about Scorpio and Ophiuchus. He enters, I called it Scorpio Ophiuchus void
Mhm.
on November 16th. So it's like he crosses the official constellation asterisms of Scorpio and comes out the other side, like underneath Ophiuchus.
Mhm.
So basically aligns with Antares, and then he's in this Scorpio Ophiuchus, like looking up the skirt of Ophiuchus, basically.
Mhm. Yep.
So that'll be a longer, bigger discussion for a later episode. And then he crosses Ophiuchus's knee the 24th to the 26th of November. That's like a couple days where he's in that alignment with his leg. He exits Ophiuchus with alignment to Fella 1. I think that's hilarious. Like, oh,
Yeah.
hey there,
Oh, the
fella.
Fella number one.
Just leaving Ophiuchus. See you later, fella. And what day does he crosses? Let's see. Oh, that's December. So he exits Ophiuchus on the 1st of December. So it takes us all the way. He takes us all the way through to December. He crosses galactic center on the 29th. So just a couple of days before he officially leaves Ophiuchus energy and moves into a very, very tiny or non-existent void between Ophiuchus and Sag. I haven't even looked to see if there is a void between Ophiuchus and Sag. Ta-da! Galactic center.
I believe it's right here. Right?
Doesn't show
Right
up
there.
on your... Oh, you can't just type it in and it'll tell you where it is.
I
Oh.
thought I could, but
Let's see, zoom out and I'll see if I can. It's...
Was it over
you don't
here?
have the ecliptic. Okay, you see where his
Okay, yeah.
arrow is? No, that's not it. It's literally what Sag's arrow is pointing at, that little dark spot to the right. That galactic center is in there somewhere. It's in that little dark spot.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was somewhere in this void. Is it this? Let's see.
I mean,
Hmm.
if it
I-
won't come up when you type it in, it's probably not gonna, you're not gonna be able to click on it. But I do know
Yeah.
it's in that little bluish circle
Okay.
that the arrow is pointing at. Because believe me, I've many hours be like, where is it exactly? Because I wanted to see where it was in relation to the ecliptic.
Mhm.
So it's in that little nugget. So he's a busy little beaver, that guy, just trucking across the sky. So he's doing some Libra things, some Scorpio things, some Ophiuchus things, and some galactic center things this month. No significant conjunctions, like no planets not conjunct the sun or anything like that. So I feel like that's probably good because he's got enough going on. But you know, all through Libra and Scorpio, he's got fixed star alignments on various days. So let's see, November 3rd, Mercury's conjunct Zubini Shamali, the fulcrum star. So that might be an interesting day for Libra or like Mercury, people who have Mercury as their chart ruler.
Mhm.
Good day to meditate.
Yeah.
Be
Get in
It's a
the
great day
zen-
to
get in the zen
communicate too.
zone. Yeah.
Have important conversations with important partnerships.
Yeah.
Any legal stuff that you might have to do. This is also a really great time to do it.
Yeah. Be fair and balanced with
Mhm.
your speech.
And if you're not able to have a conversation with somebody directly, you can send your higher self to talk to their higher self quite easily on a
Right.
day like this.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a really good thing for that day.
Mm-hmm. Or
Practice
have a
being your
moderator.
higher self. Yeah.
Yeah, bring in. Yeah, you could also bring in a moderator. For example, like people who have marital issues. You know, go to a marriage counselor, someone who can act as like a third party.
Yeah. Yep. November 5th, Mercury aligns with Anucleine Serpens. So we're getting some serpent energy. On the 6th, it's like he moves so fast, these alignments are
Mhm.
like boom, boom, boom. Aligned with Hadar, also known as Beta Centauri. Down in the, yep, in the Centaur. November 9th, he's aligned with Alpha Centauri in the knee of the Centaur. That's a big, big star.
Mm-hmm.
That might be an interesting day too. November 16th, aligned with Antares in Scorpio, Royal Star Antares. Power portal.
Yeah, my Mercury's there.
Ooh, Mercury return.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say.
Nice. Big
What do
downloads.
I
coming
have
through for that.
North Node and Neptune hanging out at Antares.
Woo.
I'm glad it's not my chart ruler because it
Yeah.
might be really intense, but it's still going to be an interesting day for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the 29th, Galactic Center. That will be, oh man, that's just going to be so fascinating. I love it when Mercury and Galactic Center are aligned. That's like higher dimensional communication. Sit down, make sure you're meditating, ground, and go to your higher self that day for sure. Galactic activations.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Back to
cool.
communications too.
Yeah.
Like big time communications between aspects of self and other creatures, other
Worldly.
beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherworldly, other
Otherworldly
dimensional.
beings. So I was like, what's this word I'm looking
helpers.
for? Exactly.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
dimensional helpers.
And just make sure, yeah, that you use discernment so that you make sure that they're coming from up downward towards you rather than down upwards.
Yeah. Set some intentions that
Mhm.
is what
Yeah.
comes through.
Energetic
like,
boundaries for sure.
Yeah. Higher
shield and
dimensional aspects of yourself or other stations of identity that are already sovereign and, you know, got their shit together basically.
Mhm.
exactly working with other stations of identity. It gives you so more than enough to work with, and don't give your energy and your power away. If any being comes to you and offers you anything, you don't need it. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to make deals.
You don't have to make deals.
No, absolutely not. And this galactic center is opposite Polaris on the other side of the chart, like our pole star or North Star. So this alignment is really I mean, all alignments are really an axis, but this is like source communications available. Like you can contact your source self. And like Georgia said, don't use a proxy. Don't any entity is like, I can take you to your source. No, I can contact my source self from my inner technology. That is Mercury, right? Clairvoyantly,
Exactly that.
dimensional travel. Like you
Yeah.
just stay tight, sit down and get in the Zen zone and just intend what is in alignment at this time, what you're calibrated to connect to that's in alignment with love and truth and all the rainbows and sunshine. That's what gets to come in that day. That's it. Shenanigans
Source light.
can, yeah,
Source
pass
light.
on shenanigans.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because that will take mental discernment, like Mercury is a mental discernment thing. So there may be some of those hurdles also that come up. So just be aware.
Yeah, it's true because Mercury is a bit of a trickster. So it will give you that
Yep.
that reflection to sharpen your tools.
For sure.
Mhm.
I think that's gonna be fun.
Indeed. Well, look at that. We got through Mercury really quickly.
Yay! I bet we can do that with Venus too.
I
Venus
bet we
is actually
can.
kind of, she's having a chill integration month for the most part. So that's
Yeah, she did
probably
her
much
work.
needed. Yeah, it's much needed
Yeah.
after her retrograde. So much through that retrograde. So we ready? Okay, well, you're on it. We're ready to move on.
I'm on it.
November 1, Venus is in the Leo Virgo void, has just barely passed the alignment with Denobola. So she spends a couple days in the void, and then on the 3rd of November aligns with that Head Star V Virg. Yeah. And officially enters Virgo for an extended tour.
Extended stay. Yeah.
The 3-hour tour.
Oh my God. I
Oh,
was
no.
just talking about Gilligan's Island like a couple weeks ago. How funny.
It's more like the full month tour, but you know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She's a fast mover, so she is still going to be trucking through Virgo into December. So she spends all of November in Virgo. And the only real alignment she has is on the 29th, like at the end of the month, with the South Node, which is aligned still with Spica in Arcturus. So I don't think that app shows the South Node, but the South Node is still parked right there because they move very, very slowly, the nodes. So that's her one big to do in November. Is integrating some stuff at those 2 stargates with the South Node. So it could be some past life feminine stuff comes up to, be seen and moved out. Could also be like you have some divine feminine skill sets or abilities or something that can also be integrated. Like,
Spica's very a very artistic star, so it can definitely also be activating and integrating latent artistic skills.
Yeah. What is that? That's the wheat, the sheaf of wheat she's holding. It's her wheat hand.
Yes.
And it is
So it's like
basically
the
a
gift.
conjunction. Yeah, it's basically a conjunction. It's really close to Spica.
Yeah.
Well, what would that be, like 4 or 5 degrees? 3, 4 or 5 degrees. It's close. It's closer than Arcturus. You see him way up off the ecliptic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really great time to anchor love codes with what you eat as well. So making sure that even if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and we're starting to head towards the winter months, that you're still getting nutrient dense fruits and vegetables that are, native to your environment.
Yeah.
And, cooking is love, right? Eating is another form of showing love. And
I was going to
Venus
say,
and-
bake some
and
bread that
Virgo.
day or make a home cooked
Yeah.
meal. Because it is the magic and the mundane. It's like
Exactly.
making the meal with love and appreciation and thank your food. And, it's like, that is one way to up level your templates, is just to bring appreciation, gratitude to everything that is a part of your journey.
All the small things, because that's what Virgo is just paying attention to the details. And the whole transit of Venus and Virgo is, what can I do in each detail of my life to bring more love into it or to love what I do? So even if, you don't enjoy waking up and taking a shower, maybe you see it as a chore. It's like, how can you make that
How can you make it a spa day?
Exactly. Yeah.
Luxurious.
About an act of self-love, and how can you make it, filled with love and filled with, beauty and things like that. Like maybe write yourself a note with a shower crayon in the shower.
Yeah, it's
makes
also
you
very
smile every
practical. It can
day.
be like, get yourself a gua sha tool and do, gua sha your acupuncture meridians very slowly in the shower, and just be like, feel how that feels. Like, it can be all kinds of interesting things. But you're right, it is slow down. appreciate the thing, tell your
Yeah.
body thank you, you know.
Yeah.
It is a miraculous vehicle.
Yeah. And it feels like this is very much like Venus in Virgo is acts of service as a love language. So it's
Definitely.
also very much like, how may I be of service? Like
Mhm.
in a way that like I love to be of service. How may I be of
Mhm.
service?
Yeah, it can
Comes
be
through
really
with Venus
creative.
in Virgo.
Venus can
Mhm.
Yeah.
bring a really creative thought process to that Virgo being, because that is a very high octave of Virgo. Yeah.
Definitely. And how do you serve the ones that you love, and also accept service from others, especially with all
Yeah.
these like divine feminine codes, and the softness and reclaiming those types of beauty, soft
Oh yeah,
things.
because
It's
Venus
like
is so magnetic
you
and
can
receiving. It
also,
almost feels
yeah,
like you can create this feedback loop, like helping others helps yourself, you know.
yeah, exactly. Like
What
make
you
that
put
room and
out comes
space
back
to
tenfold.
accept the offerings. Yeah.
How may I receive your acts of service?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a big old feedback looping love fest.
Mm-hmm.
Get it, Venus?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Venus deserves it after all that hard work that she
She
did
really
in
does.
Leo.
Yeah.
That was through the ringer.
Yeah, you could really spend Venus in Libra season, like it can be really self-care related to the body.
Mhm.
It's kind of like really luxurious massage, but also with Reiki, or like
Mhm.
adding in the energy upgrades, the body system upgrades. I wouldn't go as far as say acupuncture. That's sort of more like Venus and Capricorn or something, like with a Saturnian overtone. But it's definitely something luxurious that helps. Like go soak in some real natural mineral water, at a
Yeah.
hot spring, like
Mhm.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And there's a lot about like the highest form of love that you can have for yourself is like doing things that are healthy for you. So, of course, eating the nutrient dense food and things like that, but all things that are healthy for you, movement, connection, um, just being in healthy environments, doing things that you enjoy.
Yeah, maybe some yin yoga. Throw some of that in there.
Mhm.
Something that's not too strenuous, but is really good for your body. Good for the
Mhm.
energy systems.
Right. Take care of your digestion, but also take care of what you're mentally digesting, because as a form of self-care and self-love, we don't want to be just feasting on negative imprinting all day long.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ground in that Venus energy. Love it. Love it. Okay, let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Venus. So that's her only real conjunction. There's a bunch of fixed star alignments. I'm just going to go through them super quick.
Let's do it.
Alcade and Ursa Major on November 5th. So there's an Ursa Major overtone there, which is above the ecliptic a little bit more.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh,
I wanted to
topsy-turvy.
spin it. Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
funny. There you go. There he is, Alcade. So over towards the tail of the bear. I think that's pretty close to the last Ursa Major alignment. So moving out of those Ursa Major energy alignments. She does move through some, we know there's some really interesting Virgo stuff because we talked about Virgo a lot from the last transit session. So she goes through all those alignments. Super galactic center on November 9th. Super power galactic
Also conjunct Moon
juju
that day
codes.
too. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Ooh,
So
that
it's
might be
probably,
really intense.
especially because this is so close to where the solar eclipse occurred. It's not exactly in that spot. It was more closer to Spica, but it's still probably holding a lot,
It's in
of
proximity.
the
Well, it's
stuff.
super
Yeah.
galactic center, so it's already
Mhm.
powerful. But yeah, it's like it got some extra. It's like you're gonna be sailing into that overtone of energy, like somebody rung a bell where the eclipse was, right? So it was like moving into that pocket of energy. So that could be really intense. but there's some big possibilities to bring in
Yeah.
big coding through supergalactic center stuff, you know, because Venus is magnetic and receiving.
Yep.
So just keep an eye out on November 9th. They're sailing, you know, the week leading up to November 9th. And then 2 days later aligns with Aldebaran Draco. So I always consider this area, you know, there's only 2 degrees difference between those two alignments. So it's like quantum dragon energy sort of window right there. So there's definitely some feminine dragon coding, like quantum dragon architecture that wants to come in that day.
And that's on 11 too. Great time to
I know.
work with the dragons and make your wish.
11/11 might be like the power day. For the
Probably.
month. I'm gonna put
It's really powerful.
11 question mark. Okay. Vinda Matrix, November 17th. That's that Virgo star that is the oh woe is me energy.
Oh, Been the
So-
matrix, the way you spin your own matrix.
Mhm. Yeah.
And some femme fatale kind of codes coming through here with Venus.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For sure, with that, like as you were
Dominatrix.
saying, the dominatrix,
The
and, like,
dominatrix
Black
Venus,
Widow,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
This
and
can
I
also
was
be fun. This could be a fun play day.
yeah.
Work it.
I was
Mhm.
tuning into you know, like Black Widow from the Marvel comics
Mhm.
really came up for me strong with this one. I was like, oh, you know, like the whole Black Widow training, the femme fatales, like they're trained assassins, they've gone through torture. And
Mhm.
I was like, wow, I that
I understand.
archetype,
Yeah.
that character really
Yeah.
came through strong for me on this one. I said, okay, so this is also how we understand like Venus through Virgo, because you know sometimes we see Venus in Virgo also as like a person who may be not as interested in romantic relationships. I definitely know Venus and Virgo people who
Mhm.
have strong romantic relationships, but I also know a lot of Virgo placement people who certainly don't have those or have it as an interest. But you can see through these various moments in Virgo as to why that would be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, oftentimes Virgo and Venus can, or I'm sorry, Venus and Virgo, sometimes it can manifest as like just seeing like romantic partnerships as a project that they just don't want to do because there's so much about the perfectionism and sort of nitpicking of the lower emanations of Virgo that like being with someone can just be a nightmare because they're not the perfect ideal mate. And there's kind of this like I'm going to say it's pessimistic, but sometimes Virgo can consider it realistic. I feel like Virgo and Capricorn kind of share that of like thinking that they're being realistic, but it's really just an air of pessimism of like there's no one out there that's perfect for me because no one can be perfect, but yet then they're holding themselves up to this own perfection code. So I definitely have seen that with Virgo Venus too. But a Virgo Venus that has healed a lot of that stuff, you know, they make great partners. They can have great partnerships as well.
They can have, and then sometimes these placements can be very much I'm happy to be alone, I prefer to be alone, actually don't want, like some people really genuinely prefer to not be in a partnership.
Yeah, especially because like when Venus is in Virgo, typically there's Scorpio placements. So there is that aspect of just isolation and shadow shit that can come up. So yeah, like Scorpio Venus mix is a very it's a lot to work through if you want to have healthy partnerships for sure. Or
Though
even like permanent partnerships, long-standing partnerships.
that can be a very those with when you bring Scorpio into the mix with Virgo, it can be very sexy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, when most likely to have a one-night stand with you.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes. That is a recipe for a one night stand.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And loving it that way.
Yeah,
Let's
for sure.
keep it that way. It's
Yep.
easier that way. Yeah.
Exactly. It's more practical.
It's less complicated. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. It's the dynamic, like the range that comes through Virgo is so fascinating with the different alignments.
Yeah.
And with just the range of Virgo, like with its various alignments and the range of Virgo itself, because like a healthy Virgo could say, I don't need a partnership. I'm very happy alone. Or a happy Virgo could say, I love to be of service. How may I serve you?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, universe, send me the ladder. Or I should say send us the ladder. Yeah. I'm in a great partnership right now, for sure.
Yes. So Venus also will be aligning with Algorab and Corvus on the 20th of November. This is probably one of my favorite alignments. I do like the supergalactic stuff. Who doesn't? But the Corvus alignments, oh, just love them. That's a very interdimensional, psychic-y type energy once you get past some of the stigma or wounding that's held with that star energy.
Yeah, this is another more darker
Mhm.
part of Venus.
Yes.
Yeah, deeply psychic parts that are under some layers of things for sure. But when you connect to it, it's like the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. It's the messenger from the void. Like there's so much connection to the actual void, which is basically just all possibilities and all timelines. And anybody who's ever had an experience in the void understands is very connected to the energy of this star. Very intense and impressive. Yes.
Feels like it's going to bring up a lot of latent gifts as well. And it feels like between this area and when Venus is in that alignment with the South Node, that there's also possibility for old loves to appear.
Yeah, it's funny how those things always seem to happen at some alignment. Or it's like something happened like that for the eclipse, I think. And somebody had mentioned it, and I was like, why no? My ex hasn't contacted me. And 5 minutes later, the phone rings, and I'm like, what the heck?
It's funny. I just got a reading from someone, and they told me like someone from my past, a romantic partner's coming back. I'm like, who? They haven't showed up yet. So I'm like, what clown is coming back around? I don't know.
Did they ever show up, or is it still
Not
like
yet?
TBD?
Not yet. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I just got the reading, maybe a
Okay.
week ago. So we'll see. I'll give an
He's gonna-
update on.
He's only got a
next
couple
one,
of days, because once we get in that North Node lunar eclipse, like that door has closed.
Yeah, I know. I'm curious
Some
to
of that.
see who it is. It honestly could be a whole variety of
If there's,
characters.
like,
Oh
multiples.
yeah. Again, it's like all these different past life things that are happening. So who
Right.
knows? Past lives during this life, I mean. So we'll see.
Quickly reconciling all of those.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, who's coming to apologize?
Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, I like that.
Funny. And then, of course, on the 29th, at the end of the month, we have the alignment with Spica and Arcturus in Boötes. And
I always want to call it booties.
booties. Yeah, put your
Your
cute little
booties.
booties on, right? That's the funny
Little
Scorpio
booties.
joke. Or Libra joke. Put your booties on and
Galoshes.
get in there and do it. Yeah, so we kind of already talked about that. It's also conjunct the North Node on that, or South Node on that day. Sorry, South Node. So maybe some past life visitors. So there could be a window in November where you have some people pop in from that reading, Sashi.
Yeah.
Arcturian timelines.
Yeah.
And maybe past people that aren't from this life.
Oh
but
yeah,
from a
for
different
Yeah,
sure.
life.
you know what? That totally could be. That totally
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah, I always think of South Node as definitely past life
Yeah.
connected things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some things that didn't get resolved that will come up to be reviewed, move through it in a different way. receive it as consciously as, all right, be as graceful as possible. It's Venus. Receive it gracefully. Thank it. And moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to integrating whatever was, being held out of. A lot of times it's fragments of our own energy that are just held in a trauma pocket, right? So like you address the thing, the version of you that was wounded or hurt or whatever it is, and then also the awesome thing gets to integrate, and that's a very South Node combo 1-2 approach. So have fun.
Totally
with
agree with that.
Yep.
Good deal. I'm liking
Shall we
what
move to
Venus is bringing to the
Mars?
table this
Yeah,
month.
me
let's
too.
move on
Definitely
to
like
Mars.
kind of the best. I mean, the moon stuff was pretty good too, but yeah, Venus feels really good there because that transit through Leo was a doozy.
Yeah, that day on the 11th does feel like the moon conjunct Venus around supergalactic center does feel a little bit like, ooh, that might be the spicy day for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or Vinda Matrix. She's always spicy.
Yeah.
So put it on your calendar, folks. Let us know how it goes. That's right. We're going to have to open like a group Instagram room or something where it's like just celestial check-ins. Like, okay, it's November 11th. How's everybody feeling today? Just like, so people can have a chat room to talk about what's going on. Let us know in the comments if that would be something y'all would like to do.
Yeah, let us know if you're interested. I recently was connected with Discord and how that works. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it could be a really great place to have a community chat about a multitude of topics that sort of stays organized.
Yeah, it's a great platform. It's a terrible name, but it's a great platform. I have a couple of at least maybe 2 Discord server things going on that they don't get used anymore, but it is a great platform when you have a bunch of people using it because it basically is self moderated. They just, as long as people play nice. So let us know. Somebody says yes. June says yes. Yes, June. Give it. Okay, we'll talk about it.
And the comment right above it, I'm not sure if anyone can.
That's in another language.
Okay, yeah, it's in a language I've never seen before. So
welcome.
Unless you're a bot.
Yeah.
Maybe it was when we were talking about the Arcturians. Maybe that's a little Arcturian.
It's an Arcturian. I love it. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, thank you. We'll have to try to figure out what that means.
Yeah, maybe can we copy paste it into like a we're getting distracted. No, I don't think you can.
Yep.
Yeah.
I drew it, so I'll try to see if I can reverse image search or something.
Cool. All right, let's talk about Mars. Mr. Man himself. Mars on the 1st of November is in the Virgo Libra void. Cruising. Enters Libra officially on the 3rd. Enters the Libra Scorpio void on the 23rd. So spend some time cruising through Libra.
Spends a lot of time with the sun.
Yeah, it does spend a lot of time with the sun. Illuminating that masculine. I like it. Enters Scorpio officially on the 27th. Enters through the Claw Gateway. 27th of November. There he goes. Ding. It's much more visually interesting with the sun because the sun's so big. But Mars is coming on through. The little red pebbles coming right on through.
Yep.
Come on, little red.
Whoa, that just gave me like super early childhood memories. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to write that down. Little red pebble. It was like a book that I was read as an infant. I have no idea what it is, but I'm gonna find it. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Thank you. That just really unlocked something.
That's a Mars thing for sure.
Oof.
That's interesting. Let me know what you find.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it, but that would be interesting to know what it is.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So new moon on November 13th. Mars will be conjunct that. We kind of talked about that already.
Yeah.
We know there's definitely some powerful Mars codes coming through the new moon. Mars
Mhm.
and Venus codes, obviously. It's just an opportunity to integrate divine masculine, divine feminine things. And the interesting games that the universe and the solar system plays with geometry.
Mhm.
So on the 18th, officially, Mars will be conjunct the sun.
Yeah. It's pretty much like Mars and Sun are really close, like
Yeah.
starting 14, 15.
And I think we talked about that in the sun
Mhm.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mars at the left Libra scale, Zubin Elakrab.
Mhm.
So the left scale, yes, interesting. Left scale, feminine,
Mhm.
Mars, masculine. all the games,
Yeah.
people.
Right.
And that's about it as far as conjunctions with Mars. Mars is hanging out in the Royal Venusian window from the 31st of October to November 3rd. So that's kind of like the prequel to entering Libra, is those alignments with the stars we talked about earlier, that we showed the fixed star chart. That little 3-degree window.
Yep.
So that might be interesting as Mars goes through there. Like there might be some masculine sovereign templates that want to integrate, or if you have any galactic lineages that are higher dimensional council members, it can mean all kinds of interesting things. Those might want to integrate in that little 3-degree window between the 31st of October and the 3rd of November. Conjunct the fulcrum star on November 9. An interesting balancing point for the masculine energy. Aligned with the fulcrum star, aligned with Zubin Ishmaeli. On the 13th, aligned with Anukalai and Serpens. The serpent that Ophiuchus holds. So, with the fast movers, there's always a lot of echoes of similar themes because they're all traveling with the sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So you will get repeating themes just to make sure you get the memo.
Are you thinking about it? Are you acting on it? Are you
Did you see it
magnetizing
yet?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you see it yet? Did you see it yet? 15th of November, aligned with Hadar in Centaurus, the centaur. A little friend down there. And then on the 23rd, aligned with the neighbor, Rigel Kent, or Alpha Centauri, over in his knee. Yep. And that kind of takes us through, he just travels on through Scorpio till the end of the month, because he enters Scorpio on the 27th, so there's only like 3 more days before it's the end of the month. So he kind of just is cruising through Scorpio until December.
Yeah.
So he ends the month in Scorpio, so we'll be doing some of that wading through the sludge with Mars towards the end of the month.
Yep. The true Scorpio season.
Yeah, basically from the 27th on. It is a very short window, admittedly. Like the true Scorpio window is very short before it kind of turns back into a blend of Ophiuchus.
Yeah.
So.
It's like
Ophiuchus.
it's like 5 days,
Ophiuchus.
but like with midpoint-ish, it's like 7 days. So that's really a time to hunker down, do your shadow work.
Yeah.
It's really short.
Evolve.
It's so potent. It's so it's just so sweet. It's like
I don't know. It's never sweet for me.
Yeah,
it's
I wouldn't
a bunch
say,
of shit. Honestly. God, these ancestors, they didn't forget their shit
Libra, for me, Libra's short and sweet. Scorpio's like short and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. When you got
You know-
North Node there, it's like get in that wet, like
Yeah.
you're going head first in that
It's
shitty
probably
water.
just because I have Scorpio placements. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I have
when you
my
have Scorpio
Neptune-
placements, you do have a different understanding because
yeah.
it's literally like the dog that took a shit in the living room and you're forced to shove your nose in it. You're like, get in there, smell it, and don't do it again. Basically.
No, it is intense. I have my Neptune in that like Scorpio Ophiuchus zone, but I have a Cancer rising, so I love Scorpio. I just
Well,
I
you
love
definitely
Scorpio
bring more
too.
grace to it. Yeah, you
I love
bring more
Scorpio
grace.
too. Yeah. And I have Cancer placements as well. And especially when I thought I was when I thought I was a Scorpio, tropically Scorpio, a lot of my lovers were Cancers. So
Interesting.
it's like the water energy is just so beautiful. And like, I mean, I love myself as a Scorpio. You know, I have no issues with all my Scorpionic self. And
Yeah.
there is something so deep that Scorpios hold that truly like
Yes.
other water signs get it. Sometimes other signs can't, because like Scorpio will love you to death, literally till they die. Right?
But then
Until
the
the person who
Cancer
they
is
were.
all about that.
Yeah.
Cancer's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Like
yes,
finally
give it
the
to me.
emotional
Yes.
investment I've been looking for. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
honestly,
well, I have
Pisces-
Neptune. I have
Pisces
Neptune in the
Scorpio.
North Node there, so it's just
Mhm.
extra intense.
Yeah.
So I get the water because the Neptune, but it's like the cleanup on aisle, the depths of whatever that is. And what I appreciate about Scorpio is the power that comes through mastering that. Like that's been my lesson, is like with great power comes great responsibility. With great power comes a great cleanup job. Basically.
Yeah.
You get in there and clean it up
Yeah.
and you reclaim all that. And you just have this inner strength. It's like this internal strength of will. You know you can do it. So it's interesting how the Cancer energy for you, Georgia, really brings like this very feminine, graceful approach to it. Whereas like I've got so much air, I'm like, all right, let's just get in there and do it, right? It's just such a different vibe.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel more nitty gritty towards it, even though I do have, Cancer moon and Mars. But I think because I'm a Gemini rising, and so Mercury being my ruling planet is in Scorpio, I just have so much of that like Scorpio grit,
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely gritty. It'll
Mhm.
definitely teach you how to dig in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Scorpio needs that. Like Scorpio does need to be appreciated with gracefulness. So I love that that outlook on it that you have, Georgia. I think that's beautiful.
Oh, nice.
It definitely takes a level of appreciation that
Mm-hmm.
not many people can hold the vibe for.
Yeah, Cancer and
Mhm.
Scorpio really have something special, I
Mhm.
find. Yeah.
Yeah.
They both have that hard exterior to keep them safe. But when they find someone else that they can be mushy gushy with, yeah, it definitely
It
is
all
next
comes
level.
to the surface. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, mushy
And
gushy.
I mean, Pisces is kind of, involved, but Pisces is so otherworldly and sort of like out of this world, that I feel like that's why Cancer and Scorpio just make such a tremendous pair,
Yeah.
because they will love each other forever.
Yes.
That's the imprint on water, right? It holds that memory. And when like water is able to be with water, it just becomes one glass of water.
They become the same
Yes,
water.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Good deal. Okay, so
My goodness.
what were we talking about?
Look at
Mars?
the time.
I know. I was
Yes.
like,
All
we
right,
really got to get a
let's
move
to
on.
Jupiter.
No.
Go to Jupiter.
All right.
The rest of them get significantly smaller. Like the information is less. So those, the fast movers always have a lot that they're covering in a
Yeah.
month. So the rest of these guys, not much has
Mhm.
changed. So we can cruise them faster.
Yep.
Jupiter, who is still in retrograde
Mhm.
for the whole month, is hanging out in the Cetus Aries void. He's heading back more towards Aries, or sorry, Cetus, deeper into Cetus, closer to Pisces through the retrograde.
Yeah.
No significant conjunctions with any planets. He does align as far as fixed stars. He does align with Shadar in Cassiopeia and also Hamal in Aries, which is at the same degree on a chart on November 21st. So I can't remember, Georgia. I remember you asking me something about Cassiopeia a couple episodes ago. I can't remember if it was Uranus or if it was Jupiter, but Jupiter will be aligning with Cassiopeia. Shadar
I
and
think
Cassiopeia.
what we were talking about, my natal Chiron is here at Shadar.
Okay.
And so then it will be Jupiter's second pass over that position.
Yeah, it'll
coming
be a
up.
second alignment. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting energy.
Some
Around
deep
Jupiter retrograde. Doing
healing
some
happening.
reworking of things.
Yeah.
and creating some bridges.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Jupiter will be in retrograde all month and into almost to the end of December. So we have another month or so. Just under a month. Just around a month. Jupiter retrograde into December.
Nice. Nice. That would be a good shift for that.
Yeah, I
Imagine.
feel like that's true. Like some deep aspects of self recovered and integrated and expanded in different ways. Very
Lots
powerful
of
part the sky.
reclamation.
Yeah. In Cassiopeia, the significance with Shadar specifically is that she's a queen archetype, an enthroned queen. Heated. So definitely talks about sovereignty coding.
Absolutely.
That's a good one. And then obviously the star in Aries, Hamal. Aries is, reinvention of the self. Well, I don't want to say reinvention, except that it's Jupiter retrograde. So yeah, it kind of is reinvention.
Reworking the I am.
Yeah. Some maybe aha moments about, oh yeah, I never thought to be that way. That might be liberating to try it this way or be that way. Yeah. So
Energetic body shifts
mm-hmm.
through Jupiter shifts, which is primarily perspective based.
Yeah, belief systems or limiting belief systems.
Right. Philosophical
stances,
ontological beliefs.
Yep. Can also be like your higher dimensional guides can show up through Jupiter stuff. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Like maybe you're your own higher self guide. You realize you're your own guide.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Okay. Feel good
And
about Jupiter. He's kind of doing the same thing.
so.
If you want more detailed, we probably talked about Jupiter more in detail on some of the other.
I think like the first
sessions.
episode that we
probably
did
talked a lot
way back when.
So they all have timestamps if you want to hear more about Jupiter, if he's your chart ruler, or you just particularly like Jupiter or Jupiter retrograde, you can go listen to more. They're the even number episodes. Like the transits right now are like 8, 6, 4. I think 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Jupiter.
Truly, I love Jupiter.
You can tell it's getting into the wee hours. I'm starting to get silly.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Chiron, Chiron's still in Pisces, still in retrograde all month. Again, he will be in retrograde until probably towards the end of December. Not probably, will be. No significant conjunctions. No significant exact alignments with any fixed stars. He's still moving towards Alpha-Rats in Pegasus alignment. So yeah, up in that area. There's Alpha-Rats. So he's not, you can see he's probably pretty close. I think he's within like 1 degree by the time he stations. I think, or maybe he crosses it. I can't remember. I looked at a lot of astrology today. Can't quite keep it all straight.
Seriously.
But he definitely doesn't cross it in November, and that's what we're talking about. So that's where we're going to leave it.
Okay, doke.
Perfect.
And lots more on Chiron in last episodes as well.
Previous episodes, yes.
Same with all of them.
Yeah, basically,
All of
well,
them.
Saturn, we
Saturn's
can
the
talk
only
a little
one
bit
doing
about,
the big
yeah,
shifts. Yeah.
because he stations direct.
Mm-hmm.
Still in Aquarius. There he is. There she is. No significant conjunctions and really no significant fixed star alignments, but does station direct on the 3rd and goes direct on the 5th of November. So you can bet your bottom dollar that we will be doing some Saturn integrations past, you know, like maybe there's new contracts that are available or agreements at higher dimensional self levels, different ways of moving through the collective with more responsibility or, you know, different outlook on things. That'll be an interesting day.
Goal. I know. Yeah. When I saw the moon there, and especially because it's like, it looks like it's half.
What day is that? Does it say?
That's the 20th.
Ooh, the 20th. Saturn Moon Matrix Day.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start putting that on there regularly.
Mm-hmm.
20th.
Lay low.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when the moon crosses like the nodes too, because it's kind of like they are a function of the moon. I think those are interesting days too.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Saturn Moon Matrix Day is 20th November. What else is going on 20th November? I'm sure there was something.
Yeah, that rang a bell for me as well.
Sun is close to
It's 22nd.
Zubinel or like has just passed it.
Okay.
That's like 18th.
Nothing. Oh, there it is. Venus was aligned with Algorab on the 20th. I knew there was one other thing. That might be the only thing though. I was like, could that potentially be a power day? It'll definitely be interesting with Venus and Algorab. Could be some,
like darker stuff trying to.
Could be some black magic shenanigans might try to happen. Put it on your calendar. Let us know.
Don't fall for it.
Don't fall for it. High vibe it. So that concludes the tour of the inner planets for November. Outer planets are basically ditto from October.
Yep.
There's really nothing. They don't move very fast. They're all still moving in the same directions. Uranus and Neptune are in retrograde. Pluto is direct, went direct in October. So, yeah. Neptune in Pisces, Uranus in this Aries, edge of Taurus, Aries, Cetus kind of vibe.
Neptune going closer to Aquarius.
Yeah.
A whole month. And then Pluto.
And Pluto hanging out in the Capricorn Sag void. He almost moved back into Sag officially, but did not quite cross that tail star. So he kind of stopped short and now is moving more towards Capricorn. Kind of back into that void.
Pluto
This is a significant void between
around
those
the 18th.
Two. Ooh.
Or 17th. Yeah.
That crosses over it on the 17th.
Yep. And then, so Pluto's not doing much moving at all.
Yep. So same kind of vibe there. Just
Okay.
hold the line. Head.
Hold
The
up.
interesting thing is he's moving back towards Altair, which is aligned through. It's kind of in that void space. It's closer to Capricorn.
Mhm.
So as Pluto, I feel like as Pluto approaches that star again, like that's I call it the astral zoom room star. It's like
Mhm.
higher dimensional travel-y thing. It's a lot about collaborative group efforts in the higher dimensions too. So that'll be interesting when the deep Pluto integrates across all that retrograde work.
Mhm.
I feel like that'll be interesting. Some people are gonna have some big level ups as he crosses that.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And we're inching closer and closer to America's Pluto return.
Yeah, when is that again? Is that next year?
December 27th, 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about a year,
So yep, we have a
over
little
year, right?
a year and some change.
And that is the true
That's
Pluto
the true
return.
the
Yes.
true Pluto return. I marked it down to the star in the void because it actually isn't inside of Capricornus either. It's like
Interesting.
one of
I bet
the
it's probably
stars
exactly
over here.
aligned with Altair, the eagle. That's probably why the
know what?
US
I-
has the eagle as a flag.
Okay,
on the
yeah, that
flag.
makes sense. I have
So,
not. I didn't look at alignments. I just looked at
We will
the
do that.
star. Yeah,
We'll do
let's
that.
we will do that. Yeah.
You know,
You will
we'll
see
have
it
to
here
because we
sometime.
have time. We
Mhm.
have a whole year. We will have to have one of our extra episodes can be the US Pluto return
Mhm.
chat. That would
Yeah,
be great.
that sounds fun.
Okay. On the list.
Mhm.
Okay, so all we have left really that we're going to talk about is the nodes, and they're not doing a whole
Yeah.
lot either. Just
Do you want to
trucking
pull up your
along.
program because it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
show up on here? Yeah.
Let's do nodes on here for a quick recap. Let's see. What do we want to use? The actual software or the planetarium stuff?
Don't matter to me.
Let's use the planetarium. Okay. It says it's loading. Close those out. Can y'all see it yet? Nope, still loading.
Not yet.
Okay, give it a minute. Okay.
Here
Okay.
we go.
Just went to screen share. Okay, can y'all see it now?
Yep.
Okay. So so the yellow line is the ecliptic. Here's the node, North Node, smack in the middle of Pisces. And that's what it's doing. I don't know that we need to say anything else about that because we talked at length about the North Node in Pisces. Moving into spiritual things. Feel good about that?
Yes.
Okay. No fixed star, no specific fixed star alignments. Yada, yada, yada. South Node. Ding, 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 ding. You can see hanging out Spica. And also, because we know the Arcturian alignment is there, still hanging out there. On the 29th, aligns with Venus. Let's see, animate. Get that out of there so y'all can see Venus cruising in. There she is. Oh, look at that interesting configuration. That's a whole sigil right there.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Like her little cross even goes right across the dots of the nose. So we're going to be connecting something that day for sure.
What's the day here? Oh, the 29th.
The 29th.
Venus on the South Node. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that at length for the Venus section, but it is interesting. Like, I think we had to do that just to get that glyph.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense.
That is something. So, the nodes don't move very fast. They make a whole cycle in about 18 and a half years. So a couple months of the South Node sitting at that Stargate Arcturian alignment. So even though October was Arcturian Appreciation Month, it continues into November. You're welcome, Arcturian friends.
That's cute.
I know.
Mhm.
Just the cutest little Arcturians. My Arcturian friends are gonna slap me. Seriously, they're gonna be like, "Girl, we're badasses. You watch it." So that's kind of it.
I think we did the thing.
We
I
did the
think so.
thing. Upgrades are upgraded. Uploads are uploaded.
Mhm.
Everybody just kind of simmer in that masculine and feminine energy for the month that kind of wants to integrate and up level.
Powerful times
attention to how
are in
your
and powerful
inner-
times ahead.
Yeah. Really watch your interpersonal communicate. I feel like so much of it's probably going to come through interpersonal communications. Just kind of watch how you're interacting.
Pause before acting.
Yep. It'd probably be good that, it might be a good time, especially with this energy, have an alchemy buddy. Like this November feels like a good month to just have a phone a friend,
Definitely.
Be proactive about that interpersonal communication. That's kind of what it feels like for me.
Definitely.
Tune into that for sure.
Yeah. There's definitely some emotional themes that want to come up to clear and hash it out with somebody. Yeah, talk it out with somebody.
So those like glyphs or that language, I think, is Burmese, and on Google Translate it translates to be request.
That's funny.
Be request.
Yeah. So interesting.
Well, they don't have an avatar, so I have a feeling it could be spam. If it's
It
not
could be,
spam,
but
I
it's an
apologize.
interesting thing. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to come through.
I know. I always think those kind of things are funny. Like, there's always a hidden message.
Yeah, that was definitely, as we're talking about the
Right.
glyphs and things coming through.
Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, because we have so much going on in Libra and Scorpio during this time, I always like to remind people, like, sometimes it's okay to stay on the surface and sometimes you have to go deep. So just use your discernment of what is best for you, depending on, the situation at hand.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeedy.
Oh, okay. It says please. I have Zuby like doing a different Google Translate and it's translating to please. Interesting. Okay. So it's either please or be request. So I guess be request somehow translates to please.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like a literal translation.
Well, that is when we were talking about Venus and Virgo. So remember, when it comes to the service, say please.
Be request.
Yeah.
Good times. Well, thank you, everybody. Do you feel like that's got it for the
I think
for the
so.
recording?
Yep.
Right.
Do we have a specific power day other than 11/11?
I'm kind of feeling the 11th.
I think so
think
too.
Yeah, 11/11.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of 9 and I'm in a window right now where there's a lot of interesting synchros like dropping in threes, and like they're completely like, why would that be I'm like, okay, universe, game on. And this is kind of one of them, which it's not random, but the 9s and the 11s, and like going down a rabbit hole with that. I feel like
it's 222.
Yeah, I feel like those are probably power days. So watch the 9th and obviously 11/11.
Which 11/11 is also a 2/2. So a lot about personal partnerships, balance, giving and receiving.
Yeah, there might be some recoding that can be done from, the hijacked events
Mm-hmm.
of those
Yeah.
numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Because really what they're relating to on higher dimensional levels is like control of the ninth stargate or ninth chakra, which are is a galactic chakra, which I think holds your it's like your soul star, like your personal soul record, in the 11th dimensional chakra, 9 or 11D. Did I say 9 or 11? I can't remember. 11D. So that whole ritual was to keep those two chakras in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So those,
And we say no more.
we say we're taking those back. Thank you.
Yep.
That seems to be the most consistent across the board energy wise.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my own birthday is there's some interesting
Yes,
things
that
going
is
on
the
my own
power
birthday,
day.
so
Yeah, I also have mine too. So that'll be
Yeah.
my own little power portal. So
yeah,
we have
girl.
our special birthday month.
Yay. All
Happy
right. Well,
return again.
thank you
Yes.
everybody on the live for staying with us through the whole thing. We love you. We see you. And everybody on the replay.
Yep. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we can be found at the True Sky Crew on Instagram or here, of course, on our live YouTube. I'm Georgia, and you can find me at Star Nectar Astrology. I'm currently on a bit of a hold with my offerings as I am reworking things behind the scenes. So more to come on that down the road.
And I am Sachi. You can find me at Sachi the Seer on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Previously, Sachi the Scorpio. And my current offering is one-on-one spiritual mentorship only. So if you are looking to work one-on-one, feel free to reach out. We can chit-chat. You can book it on my website, sachitheseer.com. I do offer my astrology readings and my card readings through that one-on-one mentorship program, but I'm not currently open to just astrology or just card reading at this time. I also have some classes and workshops in my shop if you're interested in up-leveling your astrology knowledge, your tarot knowledge, or your timeline jumping ability.
Those are very important skills.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend. And I am Janine, and you can find me at Inner Sky Alchemy on Instagram. I currently am offering sessions if you DM me or email me, but the links are not currently on my link tree, so I'm kind of semi available if you know how to find me. But I am also still offering the dream alchemy and the somato emotional healing techniques that I offer, and biofield tuning, EFT tapping, body code or emotion code, those kinds of things. So if you're in the market for any of those, or galactic lineage or true sky charts, feel free to DM me.
Beautiful. And our next episode is on November 9th. We will be talking about the sign of Cancer, and this is going to be a very juicy episode. So I highly recommend tuning in. And until then, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the sky, because the true sky don't lie.
That's right.
That's right.
Thanks,
Adios.
everybody.
Thank you,
Good
everyone, for tuning
night.
in.